Recording.
Okay.
Here. All right. We're getting set up. We had a powwow beforehand. Hi Twitch chat. What's up? How you doing? How you doing, everybody? Carnival Clown Druid. Interesting.
Just before we were about to go live, I was playing a duels game where my druid opponent had the cast a spell a second time. The first spell you cast it a second time, and they played a survival of the fittest.
That's double time survival.
Yeah, that was I could not beat that. That was very difficult to beat.
Yeah, +8 on everything is pretty spooky.
Too big.
Seems good.
Everything was very, very big.
All right.
I think the only thing that beats that is a lot of Frost Novas.
Yeah.
I did not have a lot of Frost Novas.
Did you have any Frost Novas?
I did not, and I did not draw my evocation.
That's unfortunate.
Which was quite good in my deck because all of my spells cost one less. So it was unnerfed. It was unnerfed evocation with also everything I got from evocation costing one less, which would have been quite powerful.
I tried to make a Cthulhu deck and it didn't work.
In duels?
Yeah.
You can get the new cards from buckets now. Yeah.
You can get the new one.
The new cards are in
new cards in buckets.
Yeah, they're active.
I actually didn't see any. So
yeah.
I thought you just said you tried to make a Yasharash deck.
No, I said a Cthulhu deck.
Or a Cthulhu
Well,
deck.
you can use the old cards. You can build with the old gods.
Oh,
the old
old
gods.
Cthulhu.
But also in buckets you can find new Cthulhu. So there's the old gods and the new old gods, which is not confusing.
Yeah, I was angling for double battle cries, but I didn't actually live long enough to that.
All right.
I also lost to another deck that Hat will be very happy to hear about.
Ooh, I'm excited. Let's record now. Let's do that.
Sure.
All right.
Recording.
I'm also recording.
Yay, we're all recording. That's good for an audio format podcast. All right. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Thank you, audience, for clapping along at home. Say hold your lighters up, but don't use fire indoors. Just it's cool. All right.
You don't light candles in your house?
You can light candles. Just if you hold it.
What about an oven, or not an oven, but like a stove? You don't have a stove where you use fire?
There's a dial that turns it on.
Yeah, but you just said don't use fire in the house. I use fire in the house all the time.
Okay,
That's how I cook my food.
Don't hold a lighter near your fire extinguisher. Edelweiss, what are you doing? Your smoke alarm's gonna go off, and I'm gonna have to edit that out.
No, it's not.
Okay, well then get better smoke alarms. I don't know. All right, let's do the show. Let's do the show.
That would be a pretty bad smoke alarm if she just had 2 lighters and it all of a sudden went off for no reason.
Craptasm, you're outside. That's okay. Outside is okay. Yeah. Don't you dare, Steven. Don't you dare. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Greetings.
Hello.
My greetings. Well met. Greetings, traveler. Greetings, friend.
The pleasure is mine.
Hello and welcome to Coin Concede 19.0, episode 266 of Coin Concede, Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. It is Thursday, November 12th. Apparently it was the day that the PlayStation 5 came out. I think those things are mythical, so I'm not sure that's actually true. From Gadsden, New York, it's me, Ridiculous Hat. From Kerosene, California, we've got Botticus.
Yo.
From Undercity, Pennsylvania, we've got Edelweiss.
Hello.
And from the Dark Moon Fair, listener, we have you. Coin Concede supported by you. If you'd like to find out how you can support us, receive rewards in return, head to patreon.com/coinconcede. Also support us by leaving an iTunes review totally free and helps other people find the show. We had a bunch of new patrons this week. Thank you so much, everyone, to Joaquin P., Hidden Jester, Edwin D., and Nick H. And we had a little contest. So, anonymous benefactor sent us, encouraged us to run a contest. We're giving away 3 mega bundles for people that donated $5 or more to World Central Kitchen. We also donated a chunk of the show's proceeds in honor of spreading a little happiness in crazy times in the world. And our winners are Seabit, Totino's Pizza, and Zenshi. Congratulations to the winners. I'll be sending you DMs later today. But well done. A mega bundle will be coming to you as soon as BNet lets me send one on Monday. So congratulations. And thank you so much, everyone, for spreading a little bit of happiness in this time and giving to those that are in need. All right. Bodicus, you said 12-win Hunter run.
Yeah, so just to show how out of touch I was with the duels meta, I was saying that Face Hunter was good. I was wrong. Death Rattle Hunter is insane, especially if you get the right treasures, which I got the 2 most OP treasures you can get when playing Death Rattle Hunter, which is trigger your first Death Rattle instantly when you play your first minion, and then also the second one I got was double your Death Rattles. So I had quite a few games where I went turn 1 coin Nerubian Egg, and it made 2 4/4s, and my opponents did not win. It was not close. I had one slightly scary game where I was playing against Mage, and they played 2 Raz Frost Whispers because they had double legendaries and +1 spell damage innately. So I was a little scared, but also I just played Sylvanas, which double mind controlled for 6 mana and gave me a 5/5 Sylvanas. So yeah. Went 12-1 with that deck. I think the one game I lost was where I didn't draw any of the multiple Death Rattle 2-drops for the first 5 turns, and pretty much every other game was very easy, including getting a Wax Rager for my 12th win, which I played the Wax Rager. It obviously made 2 more Wax Ragers, and I was playing against another Hunter who I kind of figured the way they were playing made it seem like they had an explosive trap up, and they did. So on turn 3, I had 6 Wax Ragers in play because I got to attack right away, and then it instantly death rattled the. And they had no board and couldn't get a board for the next turn because they died 2 turns later, and that was a lot of fun. But currently playing another run with Mage because I wasn't offered Hunter, and Hat will be happy to know that I got destroyed by a warrior running double death rattles and got fishy flyered, and playing a control deck against a lot of fishy flyers, like a lot of fishy flyers. I could not keep up with all the fishy flyers. So
their deck sounds very efficient. And you know what our friend
that's actually like pretty solid, but
you know what our friend
man,
Daniel Stormraid Sheldon has to say about this?
Oh no.
I had the Murloc soundbite of him making a Murgle noise on the soundboard, and that was the only Murloc I had, but it seems so perfect for this situation.
Man.
Yeah. Fishy Flyer OP, I guess, if it also spits out 3 4/3s every time you play one. Which I don't think comes up all that much.
No, it wasn't trigger death rattle. It was you just got more in hand.
Oh,
so they got 2 more 4/3s in hand, but they had too much value, too much fishy value. So eventually just succumbed to the fishes.
Succumbed.
Whatever. I don't know. I'm not good at English, okay?
Oh man. It feels good for me to not be the one making a grammar correction, because I do that all the time. It's so hard for me to hold it in.
Don't worry, if there's anyone.
I corrected my professor one time. It was not good.
You can't do that. No, that's a bad idea. No, but it's that's my routine here in this show.
So yeah, played a lot of duels. I played a game of Priest on standard, and it was actually kind of fun. and I didn't play a Wave of Apathy, which probably helped, but then I played against a Demon Hunter who dealt over 60 damage without attacking me once. Without attacking me with minions throughout the course of the game, and that felt really bad, so probably not going to play Priest anymore, because losing to Demon Hunter when they don't get to attack you with minions and you heal yourself for over 30 health over the course of the game and they still just kill you, felt pretty bad. So
yeah, that'll happen. Oh, speaking of, I was playing Demon Hunter in Duels earlier. There was a treasure that I didn't know existed. Have any of you seen this, where when a minion dies, the other minions got +1 attack permanently? Have you seen that?
I think they added some...
I think it's a new one, right?
Some stuff, because I also saw a passive one that's just your dragons cost 2 less, and
yeah, and there was another one where dragons gain death rattle when they die. They just go dormant instead, and then they wake up. Oh, thank you, Jay. Correct. Cannibalism. I shouldn't have googled that.
Interesting. Was this today or was this
today? Yeah,
day?
I think it was with 19.0.
Because didn't they also added new treasures and new hero powers, right?
Those are the new. Did they add the new hero powers?
I thought each class got 1 new hero power and 2 new treasures.
I thought that was Tuesday.
So
I didn't know that was today.
If you have Old God, Whispers of the Old Gods cards, I believe that unlocks.
We should have looked this up before doing the show where we give people information, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it said I unlocked when I started up my duels. It said I unlocked 10 things, but I was still in the middle of a run before the patch, so I didn't have time to finish that to start a new run to be able to tell what the new stuff you get is.
So I'm going to edit out all the stuff where we didn't know what we were talking about, because I found the information while y'all were talking. So Duel Season 1 officially launches November 17th. That's when we get the new starting treasures and the new starting hero powers. Each class will have access to 2 hero powers and 3 treasures. Today, it just looks like they added in Whispers cards can be used in Duels deck building. The Madness Darkmoon Fair cards can be found in buckets. And they did add some treasures as well, from what I can tell. Both the passives and the actives. It doesn't look like they changed the other new hero powers, because, like Matt's saying in chat, you need 10 epic cards from Darkmoon Fair to unlock the new hero powers. Can't exactly get those yet.
Right.
So we're waiting on that. It looks like a lot of the new hero powers are gatekept behind owning a certain number of Darkmoon Fair cards. And since we can't do that yet, then that's their organic way of keeping us from gaining access to them.
Yeah, I misspoke on the hero powers, but there's definitely a second treasure to put in your deck that's available.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a mage one that's just 5 mana, delete your deck, discover a card, it costs 2 less at the start of your turn.
Wait a sec, I'm confused. It literally says tomorrow's patch will also add a new unlockable hero power and 2 signature treasures for each class in Duels. Literally what the announcement says.
But I'm reading the announcement on introducing a new game mode Hearthstone Duels that says on the 17th Season 1 starts.
I mean, if you read the 19.0 patch notes, Duels Update, second paragraph, tomorrow's patch will also add a new unlockable hero power and 2 signature treasures for each class in Duels.
So apparently two treasures are playable. Third when you get Darkmoon Fair cards, but also so the notes were inconsistent between what they said last month and what they said today, or it's not the same. Interesting.
I mean, I read that earlier, which is why that's why I was talking the way I was saying. So
yeah, and I read the other thing.
Confused.
Okay.
I didn't read any of it, but I played some duels today, and I know there were more treasures.
We've got 3 different types of learning going on here. Interesting to see. And you know what? I think there could be more clarity around all this stuff, and that's going to be something we talk about later in the show. Remember this.
that might be a topic of discussion.
Yes.
That might be reoccurring throughout the episode.
Yes.
Like if I retire this awful Cthulhu run and
can you retire decks?
The treasures.
Yeah, there's a button in the bottom left. It says retire.
On mobile, I couldn't find it because I really wanted to retire my Shaman run after they nerfed the Shaman hero power, and so I just queued up 2 games and conceded.
Yeah, so you can see what the new hero powers are going to be with the Darkmoon Fair cards. So I've got Secret Studies for Mage. Draw a secret from your deck for 2 mana. That'll come with collect 10 epic Darkmoon Faire cards. Cannot see the 3rd hero power. Just says coming soon. Once I pick one, I have, in addition to the Wand of Dueling, I can see but not use Elemental Learning. Add 3 random elementals to your hand, reduce their cost by 2 if you played an elemental last turn. I guess and that is collect 100 unique Darkmoon Faire cards. And I already have access to Infinite Arcane. Destroy your deck each turn, discover a card, and put it on top of your deck. It costs 2 less. So, yeah, I imagine all of them will follow that kind of pattern.
Interesting. Also, while you were talking, found a fun tweet from Admirable with some of the new cards. Plaguebringer, which is the passive, your spells overload 1 and cost 2 less, but can't go under 1 mana. And the Demon Hunter Treasure, you gain 1 attack for each minion that died this turn. Outcast, return this to your hand. So that cost 1 mana, and he has 30 attack on turn 8. 30. 3-0.
Yeah, that seems good with the Illidari cards.
He has 30 attack on turn 8. That's more attack than I usually expect on turn 8. Anyways, looking forward to playing with these cards. New and exciting. Edelweiss, besides that, what have you been doing?
So I have been managing the sanity of my characters and in turn managing my own sanity by playing a game my brother convinced me to get a while back, but I didn't play it until I had sort of sufficiently got far in Hades. And I'm still waiting on the new expansion. And it's called Darkest Dungeon. It's a Lovecraftian horror type of game. Turn-based strategy. Really very much my aesthetic. Like hero deaths are permanent. You have to constantly like add people to your roster to replace ones that have died. All your decisions matter a lot. You have to, and there will be this thing that happens. The narrator is fantastic, and he'll say things like, he has this one line about overconfidence, and it just rings in your head whenever you lose your entire party because you were like, oh, but I'm so close to completing the mission. We're almost there. I know my party's almost insane and a few people are at death's door, but like we just need a little bit. And you encounter some Lovecraftian horror random encounter that you didn't expect. Your whole party dies, and you're like, yeah, that was overconfidence. We should have retreated.
That sounds... I have not played that game. It's been recommended to me a few times, and then a few other times I think people were trying to recommend it to me, but it didn't work because it sounded really, really punishing. And, I enjoy XCOM, where 95% means 50%, and you're probably going to die and lose a bunch of soldiers that you care about. But Darkest Dungeon, it sounds well made, but also potentially quite frustrating. But, roguelikes. That'll happen.
Yeah, I think I saw Jorbs playing Darkest Dungeon for a little bit there.
That sounds plausible.
Seems like an interesting game for sure.
Yeah. Any Hearthstone advice?
Well, yeah, I just played some duels today to try out the new system. I failed to complete all my quests before they went away. Oops. But I'll talk more about my jumping in just to play some duels when we discuss economy and Tavern Pass and all that feel.
Yeah, that conversation's going to go for a while. As for me, I have escaped Bronze 3. I am now at, I'm in the high platinums. I'm at like 470 for Demon Hunter. I really want my gold Demon Hunter. Soul Demon Hunter feels like, well, I'm a little rusty, and also feels like the meta is pretty aware of how to beat Soul Demon Hunter these days. So I've been playing that, and it's fine, but the games where I lose, I feel like it was pretty hard to do something different, even though I know that deck is so hard to optimize. I probably had opportunity, but there were some bad matchups that I faced. At the same time, still climbing, still haven't played a ton of games and still in the platinum ranks. I will probably not make a push to get Legend before the new expansion because I want to play with some of the sweet new cards, but did clear my quests. And I've played some duels runs, had some fun ones. I have a Demon Hunter going right now. Yeah, a couple BGs here and there, though I'm so bad at BGs now. There was a time back in the day.
Man.
There was a
I
time.
played 2 BGs earlier.
It feels like a different game.
Bad right now.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what's going on anymore. It feels so bad.
I mean, that's a thing with auto battlers, right? I was into TFT and regular auto chess for a while, and I'm sure if I played either of those, I would be awful now.
Yeah, it's really easy to just be like, what happened? I died. Now, apparently that's just kind of a thing in the new meta, and some of the new hero powers are also pretty powerful. And oddly enough, do you all know who the best hero is in BGs right now?
Menagerie.
Queen Wagtoggle.
Wagtoggle
is the best hero in Battlegrounds. It took them a year.
+2/+1, right?
+2/+1. They also reverted Lightfang. Right. So going Menagerie and high rolling an early Lightfang is once again the way to go. Full circle. But it's still, elementals are also still big and they scale pretty fast, and there are a lot of really powerful triple strategies. I'm not going to try and speak with an informed opinion on Battlegrounds, because it is now officially like a casual mode that I play on the couch when I'm looking to spend 20 minutes doing something that isn't ranked. But at the same time, it is, it feels very different from how I remember Battlegrounds feeling, and I'd be curious to hear how BG mains think about the direction of the format. I've only heard snippets here and there, but I don't want to speak for anybody out of turn. It's hard to keep up with all the modes in Hearthstone now. It feels like it's transitioned from a game to a platform at this point. And I guess that's a good segue for, well, let's talk about stuff. I hope you all are ready for a large, long-winded news section, because, we got some stuff. Let's go.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
All right, well, so 19.0 is out, which is the patch before the new expansion. New expansion comes out on the 17th, which is in 5 days from recording, not from when we post this, which will probably be in a couple days. But so we have a Duels update. Duels got updated already. Whispers of the Old Gods and Madness at the Dark Moon Fair have been added to loot buckets. And as soon as the set is released, you'll be able to add Madness at the Dark Moon Fair cards to your starting deck. You can already add Whispers of the Old Gods to your deck right now. In addition, a new unlockable hero power and 2 signature treasures have been added for each class, which with another one when Season 1 begins. So basically they're saying when Madness at the Dark Moon Fair releases, that's going to start Season 1 of Duels mode, I guess, which will have ranked and still have casual, but it'll have ranked as well. So we also have a new Battlegrounds hero has been added, Silas Darkmoon, which has a hero power. Basically, random minions in Bob's Tavern are going to have Darkmoon Fair tickets, and if you buy 3 of the minions that have the tickets, then you get to discover a prize, which is discover a minion from the tavern tier that you're on. I saw you with a screenshot of the prize earlier. Was that something you got, or was that something where did you get to play Silas earlier today? Was that just like a picture you got, or did you actually get to play? Because you were saying how cute the prize is.
Oh, no, that was from a different Discord. Shout out to the Angry Chicken Discord. I did not get to play with it, but someone posted it. And the prize that you get from Silas, basically like the tickets are randomly bolted onto minions. And once you collect 3 of them, you get to discover. They're just kind of like purple things floating over the minions in the tavern. And it's an adorable little Murloc holding a heart. And it's really cute. I don't think the hero is good, but the prize is totally super cute.
It's interesting, right? It's like buy 3 minions to generate a goal. Well,
because it's only attached to specific minions, it's pretty variant. And I think
is it attached to one every time you refresh the tavern?
It's apparently random. Not every time will you see one, and sometimes you'll see 2. I think there's like a base 20% chance
worse.
per minion. Yeah.
Yeah, if there was one every time you refreshed the tavern, I would think that there's something there. But if it's random whether or not you get one, then seems very variant. And also it matters a lot because you don't want to just be buying bad minions to get tickets usually. Unless it's like your third ticket, I guess.
Yeah, it's... Shop heroes are questionable. And this is a variant shop hero that requires either good rolls or a very specific 9 gold investment to get back 3 gold. It doesn't seem like
it's not exactly 3 gold. It's essentially like reducing the cost by 1, except that you're essentially like getting to discover a specific minion.
It seems not worth it, is how I'm going to put it. It seems not worth it unless it hits minions you're already going to buy, and otherwise you're just playing without a hero power, and playing without a hero power is bad, so... Silas sounds fun! Yeah! Hooray.
I mean, like, if you guaranteed, like, got one every tavern, then you could just automatically buy the one with the ticket for, like, the first couple and then just get an extra minion early, which sounds like it could be okay. But if you just, like, randomly get the screen that doesn't have the ticket, then, like, in the early turns, if you can't afford to reroll and you don't have anything with tickets, then you kind of get screwed.
And I think it would be okay to force it to that there's always one, even when you refresh, because, as you said, sometimes you're not going to want that minion. So there's already a trade-off. Having additional, I don't know, negative side effect of it's not even always there seems like extra bad.
Yeah. It seems like a fun hero that I imagine will be very comfortable at tier 5. And we'll see if they buff it or not. But it's fun.
Yeah, maybe it's the new Reno.
The new old Reno?
Yeah. Which they had to buff a lot and is still not even...
It's okay.
He's like okay, right?
He's okay.
He's just okay after they went from 4 gold to 0 gold.
Well, they also buffed a bunch of heroes after him. So, like,
right.
It's all the different meta snapshots in various stages of nerfs and buffs. Like, as of right now, he is solidly back in the middle, which is where he was when he was 2 gold and the average hero was worse. But we still currently have a tier 1 with only 1 hero in it. Again, it's Queen Wagtoggle at top 20%. Wagtoggle is an average placement of 3.19. The next closest hero in second place is Galacrond at 3.93, and the third place is Elise at 4.02. So, big
Wagtoggle's really good. You should
Wagtoggle's the nuts. Wagtoggle's insane.
Turns out, playing a hero that just wants to hero power every turn and maximize its board state with things that hits the hero power, still very strong.
Yeah, Tyrion's still good.
Yeah. Well, was good.
Well, he probably still is good, but he's gone.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And also, this also proves, by the way, if Jiraxis was any tribe that wasn't demons, he'd be busted, but demons are so bad. Anyways.
Right. Anyway, we're getting caught down, and we have a lot of other stuff to talk about, including this next topic. Progression and rewards revamp. So we've been talking about this for the past couple weeks. It is live, and we now have data involved in how many rewards we actually are going to be getting. Basically, they added the achievement system, the rewards track, a quest revamp, and an updated profile page. Upon first glance, I want to say up front, it looks pretty... Without looking into the numbers, it looks like the visual representation.
It feels good.
It definitely feels really good, and they definitely put a lot of work into the feel of the system, and I like a lot of the visuals they have going on here. But Hat, I'm just gonna pass this off to you because I feel like I'm not going to do this topic a whole lot of justice, and we can just both react to kind of your thoughts and your findings over the course of the day, because we know that you're very tapped into the Hearthstone community and lots of people doing a lot of math. And yeah, why don't you just hop into kind of the thoughts of today, I guess.
Okay, so let me put some numbers on the screen here. I'm going to give a little disclaimer. We have a very particular belief on this show that we play Hearthstone because we like Hearthstone, and we have faith in the people that make the game, that they are interested in making the game as fun as possible, that every change they make is intended to make the game more fun. If they make a mistake, they'll fix it. And so far, my personal interactions I can speak to with the Blizzard developers, really nothing but positive. Ixar was on the show last week. We appreciate them sharing their time. We appreciate them sharing their energy. We appreciate what they do for the game. Game development's really hard. So far, I think that we've all been very pleased with the energy, effort, and communication put in so far this year, even though there were clearly some missteps, right? And if you look at the launch of Ashes of Outland, you can't look at that without saying that was troubled. But they fixed it. Took a while. You look at the launch of Scholomance, I think that was awesome. It's really fun, really enjoyable, and then they kept making tweaks. Clearly, the developers have interest in making the game as fun as possible for invested players, and they spend a lot of time, energy, and passion on it. And you know what? I think there are some things they've really gotten a lot better at, and rapid iteration is one of them. But we've also put a ton of faith in the development team so far this year. And to be as honest as possible, over the past couple months, my faith has been shaken that execution is going to get us to the right place often enough. So, Celestlon is here. Hi, Celestlon. I'm not nervous. It's fine. So, a lot of math came out today, right? And this is all napkin math. This is all napkin math. And I'm going to post both an article and a tweet thread from Celestlon. So, new economy came out today, and I think there are a lot of positives about it. The feel of it, the vibe of it is really, really great. The guitar twang when you get that achievement feels really great. Seeing all the orange points, the profile screen I really love. Huge fan of that. Posted mine on Twitter today. Everyone's comparing, their wins and all that. Some people are asking, what do the achievement points do? And it's like, no, that's not what achievement points are for. Achievement points are an orange number that you say, look how big my orange number is. Right? Like, and you get to, I was missing.
You get to click them too. When you go in and complete one and you get to go click it and it increases the bar of how many achievement points you have. It's like one of those things that I expect to almost be annoying, but it actually is just kind of awesome.
Right.
It's one of those things where I don't know that I want to have to go click my achievements when I go get them, but I really like doing it. I did it a couple times and now I want to keep doing it.
I'm a little obsessive about this stuff, so I'm going to have to click to make them all go away, because I'm the kind of person that gets rid of notifications as soon as they show up because it bothers me. And so it feels like a little bit of a clicking chore to me, but overall the UI on that path is spectacular. It's really
modern. It's great. It's what I wanted, right? That was what I wanted. And I'm missing one card from Ashes of Outland. I am missing Alar. And I also have 2 achievements that are locked behind Alar. And today I thought about crafting that card for the first time ever. And that should show you how effective the system is. That should show you. Because Alar, for those of you listening that don't know what Alar does, you don't need to bother looking it up. It hasn't really made a big competitive impact, is how I'm going to phrase it.
It's a bad egg and a bad phoenix.
Yes, a bad egg indeed. But I considered crafting.
Is pretty awesome.
I did indeed. I crafted Feeding Time from Ungoro because I needed an extra Warlock card from Ungoro. For those who don't know what Feeding Time is, it's a 5 mana rare spell that deals 3 damage to a minion, makes 3 1/1s. The 1/1s are beasts, which totally matters, by the way. No, it doesn't. So I love the feel of it, and I love the vibe of it. And looking at the track, I think that this is going to be a nuanced discussion. I think there's benefit to people that really value the non-gold rewards, that are really looking for they're not as focused on the day one experience. Because the day one experience is all about, like, how much free gold can I earn from the last expansion, and then how many packs can I buy. Now, if that's not what you're looking for, or if that's not the way you play, you buy your packs in day one, whatever, and then you earn some stuff over time, and then you play with what you earn over time. I think the non-gold, the 16 packs, the 2 legendaries and the 1 epic, combined with the card back and the hero portrait, seem like a big improvement over what we had before. Better than, 10 gold every 3 wins. The experience, which we know now is earned by 400 experience per hour, that's got to be way better than 10 gold every 3 wins. And really just the feeling of seeing your experience bar fill up after every game is so good. But the other thing here is that if for players that are focused on the day one experience, I usually buy about 100 packs in gold when an expansion comes out, just because I buy all my packs for the set, and then I don't touch my gold until the next set. It is entirely a function of how many free packs can I buy at the start of the next set by doing my quests. The math that we saw today, which was data mined, post on out of cards, and then roughly confirmed by Celestalon, for 1 hour per day, clearing your quest and getting your achievement experience, you will get about 5,800 gold for the expansion. Now, that's less than 10,000 gold. Crazy amount less? No, but I mean, that's significant notable. Benley, on August 11th, when he was asked about this right after the Battle Pass survey came out, said, "We do not intend to reduce the flexibility of your current rewards. And we understand the concern. We don't intend for you to lose the flexibility of your current rewards." Ixar said on his AMA or not the AMA, there's a link in the show notes about it. But he specifically said that he spent hours looking at a spreadsheet to get it right, and that the gold was for almost all players to receive more gold and more non-gold. And they got this feedback, and they answered the question very confidently and very publicly. But on the day of the expansion, it is the day of the release, it is not clear if this is better for us. And I've been in multiple Discords today where people have to chart out math to see, is this new system a clear upgrade? If this new system is not an immediate clear upgrade, I think there was an opportunity missed. And if the developers said you're going to get a lot more gold or keep the same amount of gold, that was incorrect. I don't know if that means that I don't believe that they were dishonest. I don't believe that some Activision Blizzard executive came downstairs and said, give players less money. I don't believe that's what happened. I believe that the expectation internally was that they were getting us more money, and that turned out to be inaccurate. And we haven't played with the system. We don't know for sure what's going to happen. But the drum was beaten over and over again that we're going to get the same or more flexible gold. And so far, all the math that I'm seeing, all the information that I'm seeing is that that's not true. And we've been really clear about advocating for giving the benefit of the doubt, and I still want to be that person. But I look back at the last month, and there were a couple things that stood out to me, right? There's another issue that we haven't talked about with Battlegrounds MMR. Well, we touched on that briefly. The number one person on the BG's ladder is Test MMR. They've been exploiting an MMR bug. Happens. There was a patch day before Giant BG's tournament, which we talked about. There was the Elementals patch, which combined with the MMR changes, which combined with the leaderboard thing, which combined with 4 stacking. We talked about, if I were a BG's player, my faith would be shaken, right? Because it took them a while to fix some stuff. The quad stacking was a thing for a while. Invite-only tournaments. And then the leaderboards were and are bugged. They told us we were going to get more gold, and then so far, initial indication is that might not be accurate. Now, maybe if we get the paid track, that's true. But if I look at yet another different angle, I ran an informal poll on my Twitter, and I know that an informal poll on my Twitter with 500 votes is not going to be the be-all, end-all of what's going on. But I asked players, did you think you were getting the Tavern Pass, the new Tavern Pass, with your pre-order? And I said cosmetic Tavern Pass. And about half the people that answered said they thought they were getting it, and half the people knew that they weren't, not counting the replies saying hoping instead. And I don't think that was all that clear because they used the phrase Tavern Pass last expansion to mean something different than it meant this expansion. And we haven't addressed mini sets, which are 35 new cards being added to a set in a system that theoretically gives us less flexible gold. Now, Blizzard may have support for the mini sets. They may have a way to get us more cards in the middle. But we don't know that. And they haven't shared that with us. So right now, players are going to limit the amount of packs they buy because they need to make sure they have cards for the mini set. So we have, in the past 6 to 8 weeks or so, Battlegrounds kind of breaks a little bit with 4 stacks and MMR issues. I don't think that was fixed quickly enough, where if I were a BG's players, my faith wouldn't be shaken. A bunch of developers say that we're going to get more gold. Initial math says that we aren't. Say the game's not going to get more expensive. Minisets are announced with no announced support, when there may be support, but we don't know it yet. And I don't know, it's hard to look at all these things together, combined with the lack of clarity and additional purchase. The amount of things you can purchase now, there's the Mega Bundle, the Mini Bundle, the Cosmetic Tavern Pass with an experience boost, and the BG perks are separate if you didn't buy the Mega Bundle. That's a different $15. That's 4 different things to buy in the store, none of which are really clear. After we had 2 Books of Heroes relatively recently, which were different purchases, and a bundle right before that, it's kind of overwhelming. It's kind of not clear. And the amount of energy that highly engaged players have to put in right now to understand, am I getting more out of this, is a lot. And if the answer is, no, I'm not sure if I'm getting more, it makes it harder from our perspective as content creators to have as much positive faith and benefit of the doubt as we have in the past. Because I want to be able to buy the same amount of packs next expansion. Maybe I will be able to, and maybe I won't be able to. Maybe the mini set will be easy to craft. Maybe there will be a lot of really good support. But listener, if you're asking today if I can say, did the game get more expensive today? I think I probably have to say yes. And I don't want to have to say that. And I don't know if the developers have communicated that or if they believe that. And that, it's a lot of really strange feelings today, where I want to have as much faith and belief in the developers, who I know are really nice folks, wonderful people. I would consider some of them friends. And at the same time, I don't know if the message that's being sent and what's actually happening in the client are aligned. And that's tough. You know, it's tough for us to tell you, listeners, that you should have faith going forward that initial execution will get there, because I think there have been enough missteps lately that it's easy to recommend the iteration. It's easy to recommend and trust that they will change things and fix things. And that's why I have faith in this system, because there are so many knobs and dials to tweak, and the devs have been very clear they want to do that. But they were so confident and clear up front that there was going to be more gold. And there isn't. And to get that kind of clear message up front and for the result to be different, you know, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to make of it.
So I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, not putting myself in a favorable position. But I mentioned the Pareto principle last episode, and I'm going to bring it up again here, which is that anyone responding to the poll, listening to this podcast, discussing any of this stuff, is someone that is more dialed in. And I don't believe that this would factor into, like, it seems weird that they would say the majority of players are going to receive more benefits to the minority of players that are not. But I think that may kind of be a little bit what happened here, in that I believe that 80% that's not dialed in may in fact be getting more out of this. I look to my brother and his best friend who
It's possible. Yeah.
play Hearthstone casually. They're developers, so they still buy the bundle. They sometimes buy packs not part of a bundle, which I never do because it's not value, right? But sometimes they just want to make a deck, so they buy cards because money is worth less to them than time. I'm sure they will also get this pass. And I will say that, I Snap got the pass, and logging in and just playing a little bit of Duels, I got like 500 gold and 6 packs, and you get the legendary at the start and an epic. So it felt very good. And I think without looking into it, I would think that I was getting more. I probably, since I play a bunch, I probably would realize by the end of the expansion, hey, this is less than maybe I would have gotten if you add up those like the 10 wins stuff, because I go pretty hard and sometimes get a bunch from capping out the wins golds a bunch of times. But I believe that for a lot of players who are irregular in their playtime and not involved in the Hearthstone community, that this may very well be more, because there's not as much of it, like, because of the number of ways you can earn experience with the achievements and other things. And I could be wrong on this math too, perhaps, but I think you will feel less pressure to complete your daily quests, which was kind of a thing. Like, you might feel bad before about not completing your daily quests. I feel like there's less pressure in the system to do that. Certainly it's less transparent how bad that is, because there's all these different ways to get experience. And so someone who is an irregular player may be a bit less punished for not doing that everyday consistent play. And it just has that good feel of progression and all the achievements and stuff. There's so many shiny new things to point at and think like, oh, this is really cool. And so I haven't gotten my brother's or his best friend's reaction yet. I'll maybe report back next week what they think of it, because I guarantee, like, he doesn't listen to this show. It's a long show. His podcast limit is not 2.5 hour podcast. But I don't know. I also have faith that if there's an adjustment, they'll make that adjustment. But there's kind of the pessimistic there's the pessimistic part of me, particularly towards capitalism and all that is like, well, I'm sure this is more for most of the players. It's just that the people that are tuned in and making these calculations are not most of the players.
Botkus? I don't know what to say. Literally my only input would have been, obviously I'm not as clued in. I don't do a whole lot with social media, and I actually saw Hat's Twitter poll today, and my answer to his post would have been yes. Clearly that's not the right answer, but
it's what's happening, right? It's your perception, and if that perception was not directly influenced by Blizzard.
Yeah, and so like I also, when I saw the name Tavern Pass, I thought it was something slightly different than what it actually is, mainly because the Battlegrounds thing has kind of changed what they're calling everything, because the Tavern Pass to me it used to be what got you the Battlegrounds perks, which is not what it is now, which is mostly a cosmetic thing, but in reality is actually more of an experience thing. And I don't know, I kind of figured I would have figured they would have baked that into the mega bundle price as just a thing that you buy once an expansion, and it kind of gets you most of what you need for that expansion outside of a lot of cards, which if you play a ton of different decks, you will need more than just the mega bundle. But I thought it was kind of baked in, but it also, like, I don't know, it's hard to really criticize something when my first response to realizing I didn't have it was to just go and buy it. So, like, not knowing the math behind it, it's like I still just went and paid the $20. So it's really hard for me to sit here and complain about the system if I'm not just like instantly going and purchasing something.
Oh yeah, I should clarify. I also pre-ordered both bundles and immediately bought the Tavern Pass the second it was available today. It was not even a doubt in my mind, and Hearthstone still fun. Development team.
Yeah, it's also like one of those things, like, we could use the excuse, well, we do a podcast where we want to be informed and
But we're not a hostage to the podcast. We could just say, like, hey, we're done.
But also, like, if I wasn't doing this podcast, I would probably just be doing the exact same thing. So it's not like...
Yeah. We're not hostages of the game that we choose to play. Right. We're not doing the show for the money. Like, it's... For those of you patrons out there, we appreciate you more than you know. You are wonderful and amazing. But we're not doing the show for the money. The best part of the game is the community. A big part of the community is the communication, and the developers, like, the second the patch dropped, devs were on Twitter just like fielding questions immediately. And that's not unusual. That's a typical thing. And Hearthstone, you can play it on Twitter as much as you can play it on computer, because there is so much around the game that you can get by interacting on social media, and it makes social media, like, slightly more tolerable, which is pretty incredible. But today should have been a slam dunk, and instead it's a big old question mark. And I wonder how many big old question marks we've had to deal with. How many episodes did we spend trying to explain MMR in the new ladder system in April? How much energy did we spend explaining MMR? How much energy did we spend in the show on 11X? How many times do you remember me bringing up 11X cutoffs? A few times, right?
Couple. I mean, we still haven't figured it out, right? it's still like a conversation we could be having.
Yeah.
Like,
and I worry, the issue that I think is becoming a little bit more obvious is that Hearthstone as a game is transitioning to Hearthstone as a platform, and platforms
meant to be fun.
Well, games are meant to be fun, shout out to Squelch, but platforms are meant to be simple. And the platform right now I don't think is simple. Logging into Hearthstone today felt cool but overwhelming. There was a lot of juice in all the different animations and a lot of really cool effects, and I liked how it felt, but I didn't really know what I was getting. And when we did the pre-show, I was like, be prepared for my economy thoughts. And you all were like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about how great it is, right? And I was like, oh, no. And then I kind of sucked all the air out of the room and made everybody all sad, because I'm like, no, see, by my math, we should be angry. And it's hard to say.
I'm not sad. I'm sad for... I guess I'm sad because other people are sad. I'm like empathetically sad, but it doesn't really influence my decisions, and probably won't ultimately influence my collection. Maybe I'll feel it. I mean, my understanding was mostly I might have to get the second bundle this time around because of the heroic brawl from earlier, which is my own fault.
Sure. It's feelings are going to vary. I don't think that we are able to clearly gauge this system, but I think that that's a problem. I think that not being able to clearly gauge if this system does something good for us is a problem, and I think that the feels are so good and the reality is unclear is... I feel weird. about how great the system feels at first blush when the math says it's going to result in less money. That feels... insidious might not be the word I want to use, but it's the word I'm going to use.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to do the math, and I'm going to see how it feels. And there are so many knobs and dials in the system that they can tweak it.
Regarding the Hearthstone feels like a platform now, I maintain that Battlegrounds is the least Hearthstone game in client right now.
Yes.
And could really be its own game, and that reduces the complexity in a bunch of ways, because if it's its own button on the Battle.net client, that means we don't need to have BG's quests in the rotation for dailies and things. It can have its own sort of reward system that is tied to BG's cosmetics and other things. Like, it can have all its own stuff.
Okay, crazy idea here. Crazy idea. You know how in the top right of your quest there's a reroll button, right?
Mm-hmm.
Top left, BG's button. Just make it so you can choose if a quest is BG or not, because they're completely different. Or you can give BG's its own quest screen, but there are some quests going on right now in the weekly quests. One of them that some people have is play 50 corrupt cards. That's probably not going to happen by Monday, unless you play a lot of duels and hard force corrupt cards and win with them. Because if you're not playing duels, you can't play with corrupt cards. But there are some Battlegrounds players in my feed where they got no BG's quests, re-rolled one, it was not a BG's quest, and if they want rewards, they gotta wait till tomorrow to re-roll one more. That feels like it should be solvable.
Well, and here's the other weird thing about that. If they want rewards, what do you mean rewards? Like, are there rewards on the Tavern Pass that even go to BGs?
The BG perks, so. Right? You can buy the BG perks with gold. 2,000 gold. The hero selection.
Okay, but if BGs is your main game mode, you kind of want the perks up front to be able to have access to your additional heroes. And then that's it. Then gold doesn't do anything and packs don't do anything.
I agree with you, and I think that's a problem.
Like, it's sort of, I don't know, this kind of further goes down the path of I don't think these two should be in the same game, because if you play one, there is I think maybe it's more than a minority, but it certainly feels to me like a minority of people who play both and might be interested in playing one to get rewards for the other. But for the most part, I think it should be that you get rewards for the mode that you play. And right now, like, you can play BGs to get rewards for not BGs. And that's weird.
I would also love if, like, in the quest instead, you got a glowing new quest. It popped up when you opened the client, and you clicked it, and you got to discover a mode. Discover your mode! Discover ranked, discover arena, discover battlegrounds. Like, there are ways to make it more user-friendly. So here's my crazy conspiracy theory, okay? Here's my 4 seasons total landscaping theory. Right now.
Oh, no. I'm worried.
Oh, no.
I'm scared.
Okay.
I don't think Hat's ever gone this deep before. Where are we going with this? All right.
The expansion, we're going to look it over. I'm pretty sure we're wrong about it. But the expansion as of right now looks a little less powerful than what else we've seen this year. Now, being less powerful than Initial Ashes is not hard to do, because Initial Ashes was, you all were there for that bad dream of a day with Day 1 Demon Hunter. But Skull and Lance is pretty powerful. I think, all things considered, we look at the theming they're going for with Madness the Darkmoon Fair, and it's definitely just not, it doesn't seem like it's going to be quite as impactful. You look at the known issues list, the 19.0 known issues list. There are a lot of bugs with this. They knew about the bugs, but they couldn't fix them in time. Ixar said in one of his tweets, we were going to have an experience cap per day, but didn't have the time to include it in 19.0. In the patch notes for 19.0, there's a developer note that some achievements are bugged, and another different note that performance on mobile devices, on certain low-memory mobile devices, is poor, and they're working on it. On iOS, a few weeks ago, the phone was hot. Like the hot fix, you remember that? The phone, like, it actually became hot and burned battery. The Book of Heroes initial hero portraits, just art, no voice lines. Do you see where I'm going with this? They don't have time to do everything they want to do. They don't have time. The team has a ton of energy and a ton of effort, and this year the client has felt like it is held together by duct tape, and this expansion is 3 weeks early. It feels like everything we're working with is almost done. But it doesn't feel like anything that we're seeing so far is actually completely done and polished and dialed in the way that we're used to. I think the energy and effort and communication is fantastic. It's a huge improvement. But that last little bit of polish, that last little bit of consistency and reliability, making sure things are done, keeping up with the existing client while expanding what they're doing with it, it feels like the focus has been on progress more than stability. And I love the idea of progress. But I think they keep running out of time for things, and instead of saying we'll wait until it's finished, they're giving us the 90%. And that's fine, but that last 10% is a doozy.
Yeah, it is a small team.
Well, not anymore. It's over 100 people. They've expanded.
That's including, that includes a lot of different areas.
Right, that's the thing. They're changing from a game to a platform, and so now when you had 20 people that were in the same room and they rolled the chair over, which you can't do anymore because work from home, that might be another thing going on here, by the way, because work from home, and you know what, COVID-19 sucks, by the way. Controversial take, I know. I hate COVID-19. But you can't roll over in the one corner of development pit to the other in 30 seconds and say, hey, what do you think of this? Instead, you take a game designer or developer and they become management of all these different pieces. And growing a team this fast and dividing it up this much, that's not without consequence. Doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do. It means there will be growing pains. And I think that we are seeing growing pains and time crunches with moving the setup and the work from home pressure and the lack of ability to organically communicate quite the same way, as well as trying to do a lot in a little bit of time. I don't know. Just what I'm saying. I feel like it's plausible. I don't know if it's true. Again, this is my total landscaping theory. But I
mean, my theory is that at some point, so BG's in beta still, right? I would not be surprised if the ultimate goal is BG's not in beta, is not in Hearthstone.
I don't think so. I think they really want the crossover because the crossover, the business model of keeping them in the barbershop so they eventually get a haircut, is so common. Like, I think they really, really, really want people to stay in the client, even if it's something different. If they wanted to split it out here, this would have been the patch to give a separate quest log. This would have been it.
I guess, separate quest log, yeah. But UI is hard. I mean, I have some UI background, and the amount of time it would take to build an entirely separate BG's client, I think, I don't know, I think it's possible that they could go that direction. And it would still be right next to it on the Battle.net launcher.
But here's what they don't know. At least I don't think they know. How do you effectively monetize BGs? Because I don't think there's an answer to that yet. And I don't think the current perks are it.
Cosmetics. Like a new and different cosmetics.
Maybe.
Right? It doesn't exist now, but there's totally cosmetics you could have for BGs. And some people would get them. The same way, I mean, I'm always confused when people want the cool knife in Counter-Strike or the cool gun in Valorant. But people buy them. Fortnite makes tons of money, a free-to-play game. I think there's plenty of ways to cosmetically monetize BGs. It's just, again, more UI, more artwork, more time.
I like what Craptasm just said in chat. which standalone auto battler has solved the monetization problem? I don't think there is one. I don't think this is a genre that knows how to monetize.
TFT is still in, yeah.
And if Riot doesn't know how to sell cosmetics, then nobody knows, because nobody does cosmetics like Riot.
They do have cosmetics for it, though.
Are they popular?
Are they what?
Popular?
I mean, I have no idea.
People
love the cute little dudes that you get.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that's the answer. Activision Blizzard, I think, cosmetics in Hearthstone have not really taken as much root as I think that we've wanted them to. But I don't know if it's territory that's been particularly explored. Also, I've said this before, but I'll say this every chance I get, especially knowing that Celestalon was here. If they let me buy Togwaggle emotes, I will give you money. I will finance Battlegrounds by myself if you let me buy Togwaggle emotes. If you let me...
I want custom ropes.
Yeah, custom ropes.
That's in Battlegrounds too. The rope is in Battlegrounds.
You could
see
do
the rope
custom
a
ropes?
lot more in Battlegrounds than you do in standard Hearthstone.
Game boards, like Runeterra,
Unless
you
you're
get to
playing
buy...
against Priest.
In Runeterra, you get to buy your half of the game board. So I think that like buying the lower half of a game board and then whoever you're playing against, you see their half, seems awesome.
But then what about Transfer Student?
Well, it's Battlegrounds. There's no Transfer Student in Battlegrounds.
Oh, Battlegrounds. Got it.
Yeah. But yes, I want my greetings to be no take candle. I want my oops to be not my fault. Give me the Togwaggle emotes. I will make you rich, Blizzard.
Oh, God.
I will do it.
They fit so perfectly, don't they?
Just give me a Togwaggle rogue and let me buy more emotes. Easy game. Easiest game of my life.
I will say
what's the loot shoot line? What emote does that
do? I still have that on a
go
soundboard?
to? I hope you do. It's like one of the best ones.
I think
definitely the best one.
I can't find it. It's here somewhere. I'll figure it out.
Probably too long for emote.
I don't know.
I mean, if you're paying for it, I don't care how long it is. If I'm paying for it, it could be a 20-second emote. I don't care.
I be looting all the loots, you be booting down the loot chute.
There it is. I found it. Perfect. So
is that thanks? Is that thanks?
But yeah, that's something like that. So, anyways,
of
the
heroes at the end of the rewards track, where you get to pick a cool hero skin, I was pleasantly surprised that Rogue is my favorite.
Okay, so why is that surprising?
Because I expected to just it be a mage auto pick. Because
oh wait, I haven't seen all of them yet.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
do we have a link?
No, I don't. No, we don't link things in the show. We're a podcast. What do you expect? I will say the paid Jaina hero portrait, gorgeous, really, really pretty. No new voice lines, but really pretty. The paid hero portraits, by the way, outside of Van Hilda, who is a straight up warrior hero, are just reskins of existing heroes. So if you're expecting Nagrand Garrosh or the whatever the Jaina is to have new voice lines, they won't. But very pretty. Like the Jaina is beautiful. Shout out Incrediplum for that tier 1 sub. Incrediplum, we appreciate you. So I don't know, we should wind down the super rambling section. But I think ultimately, to summarize this, I haven't lost faith in Blizzard's ability to make things right, and I know that they will. And I have personally communicated with a bunch of developers recently about this subject and other subjects. They're really receptive to feedback, really appreciative of feedback. And I appreciate that. But it can be easier than this to let people trust you. It can be easier than this to build community faith. And the actions of the past couple months, I think, make things shakier and harder for people to trust at first blush and give blind faith. And so I hope that the direction they go in going forward is maybe try to get a fewer number of things really dialed in correctly than try and do so much. It's been dizzying trying to keep up with it all, if I'm being honest. There's been so much to try and keep up with. And I just want to make sure that I can say they'll get this right. And for the devs to say this is what we're doing and how we're doing it and sharing all the information. And then that being what happens. But, you know, when Dean goes in Reddit and says we're aware of the possibility for exploits with the 4-stacking system and we have some quick fixes in place, and then the fixes take a month and people make money based on the things that weren't fixed, that's kind of tough to recommend. When there are a bunch of comments saying you're going to get more gold and then the math indicates no, you won't, that's kind of tough to recommend. So I hope it can be easier to connect stated intention and result going forward, because it would build some community goodwill that is present in some places but kind of lacking in other places. If that makes sense.
So it's not so much that we don't have faith that they're going to fix stuff, it's we're sketchy on that we'll ever get something right the first time. Like out the gate. Not that's kind of a crappy way to put it, but just like
it is, but also I don't know that it's wrong. If they tell us something's going to be one way, I believe that they want it that way. I don't believe we'll get it that way, and I want to connect those two things. I want to know that what the devs want is what we're getting. I want to know that Skull, when they say Ashes is fun, and then an article comes out that said they put Skull in Big Demon decks. I want Big Demon DH to be good on day one. That's what I want. I don't want to die to Altruist for 7.
I don't know that I'll ever trust when they say a deck is going to be good. That is something I don't think will ever change.
Sure, and that doesn't need to change. But when we're talking about economy, if they say economy is going to be better for you, and then I have to spend an hour wondering if it is, don't want these situations to come up, because as content creators, it's so much more fun when we can just say, the devs not only know what they're doing and not only know what we want, but we get there right away. That makes it a lot easier. You know? Does that make sense?
I really wanted today to just come on and talk about how cool the achievements and everything was, and
they are, by the way,
and how it felt rewarding, and that it actually was rewarding, instead of, oh, it feels really rewarding, but when you do the math, we're not sure. And when we should have been sure.
I want slam dunks. I don't want it to fall in because of a freak bounce off the backboard.
We don't want to have to question. Yeah, we don't want to have to question. Like, we're always going. The thing is, we're always going to, but being able to go through the questions we're going to ask anyway, and have the responses be positive instead of questionable to wrong. That's not a great spot to be.
Yeah, I mean, our journalistic integrity, listener, and this is why we're spending this much time on this, because our loyalty, listeners, to you. Our loyalty is to make sure you understand what we understand, and our goal is to look at it from all angles. From what does the developer want and intend and state, what do highly invested gamers think, what do more casual gamers think, and to the point in the chat, remember the first time we saw this was on a survey. They literally asked for feedback, and they got the feedback. And they got the message, no, this isn't enough. And then here we are. And it should be noted, there are portions of the internet, by the way, that I looked on today, where the initial reaction was hugely positive. A lot of places where people are like, this feels good, this looks good, seems like a big win. And I imagine that people with different play patterns than we do, and people that aren't looking at the math and just saying, I'm just going to play and see what I get, they might even get more, and they definitely feel better about it. You know what? That's rad. And I don't mean to speak for all players here, because I think that for some players this is a big improvement, and I do think this is a step in the right direction, even if the execution isn't quite there. But I want to be able to do a bit in the podcast without pausing and saying the word but. Oh, that's what I want. That's the goal. No buts. No buts.
Butt hat, you love butts.
I do.
And being a content creator is just letting crap fall out of our mouths, right?
It's true. I have referenced that feedback video like 7 times today. 7 times. Yeah, day 9. Day 9 knows what's up. Anyways.
Yeah. Also, developer, if we listen to that video, they should just ignore everything that we're saying right now. They should just not even be listening to the podcast. Just turn it off. Just do your thing. Just we're just
Yes.
That was such a good video. If you don't know what we're referencing, look up
I'll link it in the show
recent
notes.
Day 9 video that we'll link in the show notes about feedback. It's quite a
it's hilarious,
entertaining video.
It makes fun of people like us, and we all think it's fun. We all think this video is amazing because it's making fun of people like us. I'm gonna put this here.
My last bit on the system is, look, it felt amazing logging in and experiencing. It looks really awesome, feels awesome. I think it's unfortunate that in the nitty-gritty numbers, it turns out that it's less. I have faith that they will adjust because, we tend to get pretty loud and eventually get some fraction of what we want one way or another.
Or like way more. Or
way more.
I do not think...
Sometimes we get things we didn't even expect.
If we sent this podcast episode back in time to Rostacon's Rumble BlizzCon, and we said our biggest problems were having too much to do, and the new economy being too confusing, and this other mode needing to be spun out of the game client because it has no space next to the other modes, heads would explode. Because back then, the only mode was Odd Paladin or Odd Paladin in Wild with Quartermaster. Those were the 2 modes. And Arena technically existed, but no, it didn't. So...
You could play Odd Warrior, right?
Yes, you could.
Yeah.
It's true.
Or other things involving numbers.
Or Deathstalker Rexar.
Numbers.
You could play Rexar.
Numbers.dex. Yeah.
I just think it's generally not going to intentionally go backwards. So I think they will make adjustments. And if that takes a couple of months or however long that takes, it'll be that way for good, right? And then it'll just be better for eventually more time than it wasn't. So it's very much how much are you valuing this initial launch of the system versus how good it will be down the line. And at least for now, I feel like by the time it fleshes out in 2021, it will be better.
Yeah. If the things that we are concerned about this Tavern Pass end up coming true, they'll just throw experience at us and either change how the system works or just give us some bonuses. And also, when the mini set comes out, it's entirely possible they just throw stuff at us.
I suspect there will be packs.
But if they are, why not tell us now?
It's honestly, that's just not their way, right? We don't know anything about esports next year. And I hope that's not being announced at BlizzCon Line, because that would be kind of late for esports next year, but it could be.
It's if we start talking about esports now, this episode is going to go on until next week.
We're not going to talk about esports. That's my thing. Well,
yeah,
some other time. Besides, I've got to talk about Deck of Chaos for half an hour.
Okay.
So
we've... All right. So that was the first half of the news. But I guess why don't we go through a couple other notes here, and then we can jump down to Decksplanations.
What else? Well,
there's a couple other things.
What else is there?
So, okay.
There were some known issues that we kind of talked about. We have links to all of them in the show note. About some known issues. We kind of talked about it very briefly. I don't know that we really need to go into it a whole lot more. Battlegrounds MMR, we talked about. There is a person that apparently started a new account with the name Test MMR, conceded their first 60 or so games to get a very, very low hidden MMR, and then just won their way to 17k MMR. So I'm sure they're going to be fixing the ability to do that somehow. I hope that they have a way to be able to fix that, because stuff like that shouldn't be able to happen. But that was another thing we wanted to discuss a bit. We have a bunch of videos, including Cora and John's fireside chat. Link in the show notes.
It was great, by the way. That video was awesome. Did either of you watch it?
I haven't had I literally haven't. There is so much going on today with Hearthstone. I
watched
finding
it.
time to do
good.
that.
It was Cora hosting a video, and I don't know if you know this about Cora. She's a very good host, but also she made the game, so she got to both host and like do her own sections of game design. Like it was really nice. It was really pleasant.
Well, that is something I will definitely get to as soon as the show's over.
Yeah.
We also had the pre-launch party, which was all of the featured streamers playing theory crafted decks today. However, with the twist of having Reddit vote on decks and having those be the decks that the streamers had to play. And as Hat, how did you put it before the show, Hat? As with anything Reddit, Reddit will find a way to ruin it.
So what happened here is that the way this worked is that people posted their deck lists and suggested the streamer they wanted to play it, and it was in contest mode, so the order of entries was randomized, and you could upvote or downvote based on what you liked. But you could see usernames. So it turns out that Trump SC and Solemn are popular, so they got a ton of upvotes. But then in order to see which entries were at the top, they turned off contest mode 30 minutes before the entries ended, and there was mass downvoting. Every single comment except for 3 ended up being super deep in the negatives. So they also got a crazy amount of entries. I think this was well-intentioned, but I don't know if Reddit was the forum for this. But I don't know if they had the time to do anything different.
I don't know how you do something like this correctly. I think this was like an excellent idea where you also probably could have seen something like this occurring. And so I don't know how you fix something like that in a short period of time, because you're either going to do it a different way that is safer, that probably gets a lot less community involvement, even though I don't know that necessarily mass downvoting is the type of community involvement you're looking for.
I have a suggestion.
All right.
Don't do theory crafting streams. I hate them.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I think we all agree we're not huge fans of theory crafting streams, because it feels like other people get to open presents before get to open and play with presents is the big thing, because they kind of fix the opening presents. They somewhat fix the opening presents before everybody else by having the pre-release parties, but then you still don't really get to play with your presents in the way that you really want to play with them.
I mean, luckily this release window was so compressed that I didn't even have time to watch the theory crafting streams today, so system works. Yeah.
I'm generally not into it, but after clicking that Reddit link and seeing that someone posted a beautiful deck of ogres, just ogre themed rogue deck, I would love to see one of these streamers have to play a deck with Ogre Mancer and Ogre Magi and Boulder Fist Ogre, and I guess some rogue cards from the new expansion.
Oh man, this is brilliant! Ogres. Strategy and deck guide: play ogre, play furry. Mulligan, ogre, win con, Gruul.
I just want to play Optimistic Ogre, which is definitely my favorite card of the new set. It's so good.
I mean, we're gonna talk about some cards here if we ever finish the news, which I think we can do right now, because that was a lot of talk about a lot of stuff, and I want to talk about new cards.
All right.
Pat, you wanna take away the tournaments?
We're not going to talk about tournaments today. I'm not going to repeat my shtick from last week. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, okay.
He's just going to deny you every time you try to set.
No, it's
you try to set him up for the tournament things. He's literally just going to do whatever the opposite of whatever you say is.
It's for things to be organic. We can't discuss them ahead of time. I can't do the same thing. We have to keep the flow. So
yeah, we just have like 8 pages of show notes every week, and that's just gonna go off the books every time.
Okay, you know what? You know what I have to say to that?
It's alright. Hat is generally the Alex Goldman of the show anyway.
Ugh, look at that reference. By the way, if you're a fan of Reply All, they are negotiating with their union. Go check it out at twitter.com/GimletMedia. Go check it out.
But moving on to what I'm sure everyone is dying to hear about. New set, new cards, everything's been revealed. We had the live stream yesterday, and they dumped a whole bunch of cards afterwards, which had some real gems. Yeah, we're going to do our usual format of everyone has 4 cards. Got a card you can't wait to play with, card you're scared of, card you want to be good but isn't, and a card you think is over or underrated or sometimes both. We'll try and be sure to say what the cards do. But, Hat, why don't you kick us off with the card that you can't wait to play?
Card that I can't wait to play with. So, first of all, before that, were any of you really overwhelmed by this reveal schedule? Because I sure was. The pace of cards coming out was insane.
I thought the full reveal was today.
Yes.
And I thought there was more cards. I don't know why. I saw all the cards, or I looked at the list of cards yesterday, and I was expecting more cards to get revealed today.
Yeah. We got 135 yesterday. Well, we got they revealed 38 on stream, and then we got another 22. But as of the time of the show last week, I think there were 34 cards revealed, which means we got 100 cards in a week. Now, with that being said, it's because they moved the set 3 weeks earlier. And moving the set 3 weeks earlier is... You can't do that for free. There's going to be impact there. But, card I can't wait to play with. Redeemed Pariah, Demon Hunter 2-drop. It's a 2-mana 2/3. Whenever you play an Outcast card, this gets +1/+1. Shout out as well. This is a 2-for-1 to Line Cutter, which is a 3-mana 3/4 Demon Hunter card that your Outcast cards cost 1 less. Now, note, when they say Outcast cards, it doesn't mean cards on the outside of your hand. It's cards with the bold word Outcast in the text box, regardless of where they are in your hand. And they gave us a Questing Adventure for Outcast and a Sorcerer's Apprentice for Outcast. And yes, I want to play those 2 cards in the same deck. Yes, I want Miracle Demon Hunter. And no, you can't stop me. No, you can't. Just put the Outcast cards. Just Control F, Outcast, add to deck, play. Do I think it'll be good? Absolutely not. No, I don't. No, I do not. And by the way, if you play Line Cutter with I-Beam, it sets it to 1. It does not set it to 0. Because I-Beam says this costs 1, and Line Stepper says this costs 1 less, so it tries to make I-Beam into 2, and I-Beam's like, I got you. I'm 1. It's fine. But it stays at 1. So you can play your Consume Magics for free. You can play Spectral Sight costs 1. The new weapon, the 3-mana 3/2 that Arcane Explosion to your opponent, that goes to 2 mana. It's probably not good enough, and there probably aren't quite enough Outcast cards yet. And Twin Slice doesn't have Outcast, which is probably good, but if it did, this card would be better. But Twin Slice does not have Outcast, and it shouldn't have Outcast.
Yeah, what do you mean?
If Twin Slice was +1 attack, if it had if the second slice effect was an Outcast, if you didn't get the second slice unless it was Outcast, or if it was +1 attack, Outcast +2 instead, that could be a thing. You could do that, but it doesn't. It's not a card that exists.
Better about it because they moved it from 0 mana to 1 mana and then added the attack, and I don't know if it made it better, but it almost feels better.
The 0 mana one was more broken. The 0 mana one, you remember how Evocation nerfed Mana Giant? Twin Slice nerfed Altruis, and Altruis was the card that needed the nerf.
Yeah, well, that's a whole different discussion. I don't know. We're talking about demon cards, so Demon Hunter cards, so I'm upset.
Well, I want to play a Miracle DH. And it's probably not good, but I want to play it.
I mean, I don't think necessarily a Miracle DH will be good, but I think this card will be good in some form of aggro Demon Hunter. Because just having something with that effect of perpetual growth can be quite strong. There have been times when Secret Keeper was run in aggressive secret decks, and obviously Undertaker was an insane one for there were more death rattles, but
it also cost half as much.
Let's not compare this card to Undertaker. I think we can. I don't think this is an Undertaker.
No, I don't think this is an Undertaker. Just because it costs 2 instead of 1, but I mean it is a 2/3, which is a sturdy stat line at 2, and if it's not dealt with, it could get buffed twice on the following turn potentially. I mean, depending on what you run the Outcast 1/1. I feel like there are some Outcast cards that we haven't been running that might be worth running.
The new weapon, the 3-mana 3/2 Outcast deal 1 to all enemy minions. I think that card is good. I think that's a solid card.
Is it just minions?
I think it's just minions, but I'll look.
I'm pretty sure it hits face. Could be wrong.
It hits face.
Oh, nice.
It's
okay,
Demon Hunter. Of course it hits face.
Okay, good. Even better. Yeah, that card is fantastic. Sure, we're going to run that. It's, by the way, Fiery War Axe, blank 3-mana 3/2 weapon.
Okay, can we talk about
Hey, Bodicus.
a different class?
Hey, Bodicus.
Can we talk about Rogue? And can we talk about a card that Hat doesn't like that I also don't think is very good, but I can't wait to play with it?
I like
the
where your head
Rogue
is at.
Legendary is 10 Woo of the Red Smoke. Battle Cry, return a friendly minion to your hand. It costs 1 less this turn. This is an upgraded Brewmaster, which you don't really play Brewmaster, but I don't know. It feels this is one of those cards that I think the effect is actually somewhat powerful and does can do good things for Rogue, but I don't know that it really fits any of the archetypes that Rogue is playing right now. Like, I think most of the time it's just it's friendly Brewmaster, right? That was the card. It's been so long since I played it.
It is friendly Brewmaster.
Friendly Brewmaster. That sometimes
it costs 1, not 1 less, right? Like it costs 1, yeah.
But it's this turn. But you could also just return it and play it in a separate turn.
And it's youthful Brewmaster. Yeah, okay.
Youthful, yeah, sorry. But I don't know. I like effects like this. And I like cards like this. And sometimes this could do a super broken thing like return a Jandis Barov to your hand and maybe even play it the next turn, or it sometimes this will do stupidly broken stuff, and other times it will just be a youthful Brewmaster, and most decks probably aren't going to play that, but I want to play a deck that plays this because despite everybody hating it, I loved Quest Rogue, and if we're playing decks like Quest Rogue, we play this card. So this is one of those cards that the effect is powerful, and a card like this has seen play before, but there isn't currently a deck that you would want to play something like this in. So probably not going to see any play, but it's a pretty sweet card.
I feel like it's filler support. That's where it falls for me, because it's definitely a card that can give you a lot of extra value, or just from having great targets. Like, you could use this on a Feral Cat or a Wand Thief, and you're not really getting a discount, but you do get it back. You could use it on, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens a bunch. If you Feral Cat on 1, and then it's just like, well, I need a tempo play on 2. You play this. It's only reduced that turn, but you don't care because it's a 1-drop anyway.
No one Feral Cat's on 1 anymore.
But even if you do, then you just fired off a youthful Brewmaster on 2. Like, it's...
Yeah, but that's the fail.
But it still
scenario,
has the
right?
Yeah, but it has the upside of being
You're
insane.
Gonna have times where
turns, right?
you do it on a Miscreant, and that can be pretty strong. You maybe get
if
to
you
do
it on a miscreant, it's just instead of the 2 mana discount from the Shadow Step, you just get a Bloodfin Raptor. So that's the thing. That's the thing about this card is that unless you bounce something that costs more than 3 mana, then and play it the same turn. So unless you're on like turn 6-ish, then you are throwing in a Bloodfin Raptor. That is your bonus for playing this card, because it's not gaining you mana unless you're bouncing something that costs 4 or more and replaying it that turn. So otherwise, like, you would play 2 Shadow Steps before you play this, because Shadow Step costs -2 and this costs 0. And the benefit you get for this is you get the rebuy and you get a Bloodfin Raptor. And Raptor sucks. So you need the rebuy to be really good, and you need it to save you mana. And that means it's turn 7. And you're a card that's not good in Rogue until turn 7. It's probably not one we play in the main.
I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as a Bloodfin Raptor because the bounce is relevant against a lot of targets. I think that it is not as good as Shadow Step number 3, but I think it is still worth playing as Shadow Step 2.5.
I mean, you can play Youthful Brewmaster right now.
But that it's not as good, right? Because there you never get the discount.
Sure. I just think it's optimistic to include it because sometimes it's really late game and we get something juicy, but maybe it's worth it. Like, and maybe we stick something good on 2 and this is powerful. Maybe we go nuts with a Witchy Lackey, right? Like, we Witchy Lackey Miscreant on turn 4, and then we play this and bounce whatever we get out of it. But it feels like a card that's really great once your giant game-winning battle cries are down already.
Yeah, I mean, certainly something like getting to do it on Jandis in a late turn would be really sweet. But I think just having that flexibility of maybe being able to do it on those powerful turns, but also being able to run it out after something like a Pharaoh Cat is fine. Rogue at this point is in a position where a lot of times it makes successive wide boards of kind of just a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
In particular with Evil Miscreant. And this just continues that game plan of wide boards. There are plenty of times where I've seen Rogue ditch a tech card like Cult Neophyte on 2 just because it was better than daggering up.
Yeah, and I guess Miracle Rogue, you look at Secret Rogue right now, those games go long even though everything costs nothing. Like, the games go super long because you're just generating stuff over and over again. And if you get something juicy out of a Draconic Lack, you're evolving to something nice, or it's turn 8 and you go Jandis, Jandis. You go. And by the way, this is Step Raptor and Foxy Fraud is Prep Raptor. We've got Prep Raptor and Step Raptor. Just be aware that's a thing. So when you go on turn 8, you go J-Bar, Step Raptor, J-Bar. Like, that's obviously insane, right? That's a nice refill. It's just a question of whether we can afford to run the 2-drop in our deck when we really don't ever want to play it before the late game.
I think as well in a 6-set meta, Highlander could very much come back. Perhaps a form of Highlander Galakron. And so just having a redundancy of effects, like you run Shadow Step, maybe you also run this.
Okay, I see that.
I'm gonna say we're not running this unless we're talking about a completely different deck. That's my take, but I hope that other deck exists eventually. But maybe you're right. I don't have high hopes for this card. Well, I have high hopes for this card, but I'm not expecting those hopes to be met with positive things.
High hopes and measured expectations.
Sure, that sounds great.
Yes.
I don't know. What card are you excited about, Edelweiss?
Well, we talked about it in the Discord, and I have to say, this is one of those cards where you go into your collection and you start looking stuff up. Both of the deck cards are fittingly cards that you kind of build your deck around to some extent. This one more so than Deck of Lunacy, but Deck of Chaos, Warlock Legendary. 6 mana, change all minions, or it's like
swap all minions cost and attack.
Cost and attack.
This card is wild.
You want high cost, low attack minions, which is things like Ysera. Malagos is very notable, as you probably just throw Malagos as a potential combo finisher if, it's in the bottom half of your deck when you play this. There's a lot of possibilities with this. I wouldn't say that you go all in on a Malagos, but it's certainly worth having there as a high roll. This, honestly, it's exciting, but I also am a little nervous at the number of things that it's like you draw it early and your deck is insane, you draw it late and it doesn't do anything, kind of like Keliseth before.
This is
not Keliseth.
This is Purple Pocket Galaxy, right? That's what this is? That's what we're hoping this is?
Yeah.
This is Purple Pocket Galaxy.
This is Purple Pocket Galaxy, for sure.
Say Purple Pocket Galaxy 5 times fast. Purple Pocket Galaxy, Purple Pocket Galaxy.
You have to, build your deck specifically for it. I think you don't necessarily need to build your deck in a very like min-max kind of way for it. I think there are some high rolls you include, but certain cards that are just fine, such as if you're running Plot Twist, you have Aranasi Broodmother, and playing a 4/6 taunt for 4 mana is like, that's an upgrade. We take that.
You know what happens if you do this with Kael'thas? You know what you have. Say it.
You have a 4 mana 7/7.
Hey, she said it! 4 mana 7/7.
I don't think we run Kael'thas, but it just has so many exciting possibilities that I want to try them all and see which one I like the best. I think there's a way where you can play Polkelt, and this is your 6-cost card, and it's like just a zoo deck that kind of benefits from this and gets sort of mid-rangey after playing Polkelt. I think you can play a Galakron deck where you've got Polkelt gives you Galakron, Kronks, and then this, and then all your invoke cards except for the draw 3 get better, as well as you could run the eggs. Any eggs become free and gain power, so Chromatic Egg becomes a 0 mana 5/3 Death Rattle summon a dragon, and the other egg becomes a 0 mana 2/2 get 2 2/1s on death.
You know that Lore Master Cho and Nat Pagle can both be played for free. Can run out that 0 mana 2/7 Doomsayer.
You still don't play
actually get played for free. That's a really good combo card. With something like this.
Desert Obelisk.
So then there's the combo route.
Desert Obelisk.
Summoning Portal is all in.
Yeah. 0 mana 4/4.
I have hope that those decks are going to be bad, but it's definitely going to be something people are trying, because 0 mana 4/4 and all your stuff costs 2 less is pretty good and kind of enables a whole lot of nonsense.
3 mana Jiraxis is where my head went. That's also probably not good, but yeah.
No, it would be good if it gave you a 15/15 weapon, though.
Well, it would be a 9/15 weapon, but yeah, or a 9/8 weapon, right?
Oh yeah,
something
9. Like that would also still be.
I'm glad it doesn't do that, but I think there'll be a lot of different ways to play with this card, and they'll all be super interesting. I have high hopes that Warlock will be back. I'm certainly going to try something that involves Enhanced Dreadlords and Archwitch Willow, because those are some nice cards to get upgraded.
You gonna play Zeraku?
I'm not gonna play Zeraku.
Even at 4 mana 8/12, you don't want to play Zeraku.
Not in that deck. I'll play it in a dragon-specific deck, which you can also try with this, because Twin Tyrant is another good hit. There's a lot of dragons that are good hits. Now, a lot of them are 8 mana, so it's kind of rough if you don't hit the deck of chaos. But
Fel Lord Betrug. Get him.
Yeah, Fel Lord Betrug would definitely be in the Big Demons version.
This also seems like that neutral legendary weapon type of deck.
Sphere of Sapience?
Probably.
Oh boy.
Probably want to be sphering away some of these expensive cards, trying to find your...
Possibly.
I wouldn't say I want to be sphering them away, Bob. That was an Office Space reference. Wait, Bodicus. Can you say Purple Pocket Galaxy 5 times fast?
No.
Okay. Good answer.
I speak the truth.
But what cards?
I can, but choose not to.
I appreciate both of you having restraint. Bodicus, which card are you scared of? What scares you?
Well, Deck of Lunacy. I didn't actually read the article about it, but playing... I mean, there's a lot of cards in this set that scare me. Let me tell you about this campaign that I've been on about card cost reduction. There's a lot of it in this set.
There is.
There's a freaking lot of card cost reduction, and I don't like it, and it scares
particularly
me.
in Priest.
And it worries me, and I don't like it. But this one doesn't really. It kind of reduces the cost of cards, but yeah. So Deck of Lunacy, 2-mana legendary mage spell that takes all of the spells in your deck and adds 3. Right? It adds 3 to them.
Adds 3.
3 well, so it turns them into spells that cost 3 more, but the spell still costs what it costs in your deck. So all of your 2-mana spells become random 5-mana spells that cost 2 mana. And that's very powerful.
Important note, by the way. Does not have to transform into mage spells, can be spells from any class.
Okay, that's helpful. That makes me feel better.
Even that being the case, the jackpot is really at 5 costs becoming 8, but it probably won't be the most common use case.
And
8
also,
is the mana cost where you get the biggest summoned minions. You've got your Power of Creation, you've got Deep Freeze, you've got the new Druid that summons an 8 cost, you've got the new Priest card that summons a minion from your deck and makes it a 10/10. There's a lot of
thankfully they added the elemental one that you get 8/8 elementals, but you have to have played elementals the turn before.
Kill an 8/8.
It gives you an 8/8 naturally.
Oh, it does?
It gives you an 8/8 and then 1 more for every elemental you played the previous turn.
No.
It's very good.
Yeah. And
so
there
this feels very Keliseth-like, where you play this on turn 2, and it's going to be pretty... If your deck is built correctly, or if your deck is built around this card, it's going to be very difficult to lose that game, or at least it feels like it's going to be very difficult to lose that game, and don't like that feeling. Not a fan of that feeling at all.
It's still random spells, so like the power level, the raw power increase is significant. It's still random spells. I do think there's opportunity to build your deck around it. Keep in mind, it's a low-cost legendary, and if you don't hit it, your deck actually doesn't function. So, like, we're probably keeping Magic Trick in the mulligan and firing that off to hope to hit a second copy of this on turn 2.
But does it not function? Because it feels like you could just play Cyclone Mage with this card in the deck, right?
Maybe. Cyclone Mage doesn't really have a ton of spells that cost more than 2, and 2s to 5s, like 5s are decent, but Cram Session probably draws you 2 cards. Like, you have to consistently hit something that's going to be better at 5 for what you're trying to do. Like, if you evolve your Cram Session into a Bloodlust is an objectively good card that might not fit with what your deck is trying to do. I don't know if I would rather have Bloodlust than a Cram Session. Now, 2-mana Bloodlust, that's a good card. It's a very good card. But what if I don't get the board? I don't know. I'd be curious to see if you could just pop this in Cyclone Mage and make the deck better. I do think there is a way to build a deck where you take major advantage of Deck of Chaos, or Deck of Lunacy. But I don't know if we can just be Cyclone Mage, considering that deck currently is not performing all that well.
It's a card that I don't know whether or not it's actually good, and regardless of whether the stats show, like, how, on average, how good it is, like, it's one of those cards that's still scary regardless of its viability. That's how I would put it.
Yeah. What'd you say, Adelaide?
I think that there's definitely gonna be a way that you can just put it into a Cyclone Mage, and because they stay at the same cost, you're just gonna get more powerful effects. So, and I think you want to remember as well that it makes your giants, all of the spells become things that didn't start in your deck. So your mana giants, I think that's what it is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, mana giants will become discounted from all of your spells. Now you're going to have fewer discover a spell, maybe, but you still have Mana Cyclone for refill. And presumably you still have your things like Wand Maker in there. So I would not be surprised if you can slot this into a Cyclone Mage somewhere, and it's gonna steal you some games from having just very undercosted solid effects.
Yeah, and to both of your points, Bodicus put this in the category of card you're scared of. I do not want to see this card on turn 2 ever. I never want to play against this on turn 2 ever, for any reason ever. I think it would be a nightmare on turn 2. Yeah. Edelweiss, why did you pick this card?
So I have a very unusual pick here, and it's very intentional. It is
Really? Is
it
this
is a
an
card...
unusual pick? Because I was fully on board with this.
Oh, were you? Okay, so you're probably in the same place that my brain is at with this card.
This was going to be on my list. I picked a different card because you had picked this card.
Oh, interesting. So, yeah, the card I picked that I'm scared of is Knife Vendor, which is a 4-mana 3/4, not good stats. It does 4 damage to both players as a battle cry. I am not sure it's good. I really hope it's not good, but I'm scared of it because if it is good, the meta is too fast to be doing fun things. Because at the point where you're including an inefficiently statted card that does 4 damage to both players, you are just all face and nothing else. And that's going to ruin the day of like a lot of the decks that I'm going to want to be playing with.
I mean, you don't really want to have this card in your deck in face mirrors, do you?
No, but you'll be beating up on the people that aren't playing face stuff. Like, it is not a life drinker. It's definitely not a life drinker. Life drinker is a better card. But the reason I'm scared of this is because if it is in decks, that means people that deck is just a face deck for the most part, or it's part of some wacky, stupid combo. I mean, like, I don't think I run this in my my quest shaman because I much prefer the one that heals me, or if it's corrupted does the damage. That one's really great. But yeah, it's one of those where it could totally be nothing, and I really hope that it's bad enough to not see any play. But if it does, I don't know, it's making games faster, and I don't want this to be a thing that you consider putting in your deck.
So you worry about this being the symptom of a larger problem?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't... Yeah, because I don't think it's the kind of thing that would push a face deck over the edge. But if going Reckless Abandon full face is what you're doing, then it might be something that you put in that deck. And that's kind of scary, because it is just neutral 4 damage.
All right. Before we go any further, I'm going to make an admission here. In cards that Bodicus did not read fully, did not realize it was each hero. less worried about this card.
Okay. Yes.
It's still. I agree with Edelweiss's point though, that if this card is good, then the format becomes less fun.
It matters a lot.
It does. That does matter a lot. But also in the decks playing, it's one of those cards where like this keeps a lot of decks in check. And as soon as this card becomes popular, it gets less popular, right? The more this card gets played, the less you want to play it. But also, if this card gets played a lot, it's still a scary card, right? Like, it's still like it's scary until the point with which people are playing it, I guess, which is a weird spot to be. Because when people are playing it, then people play it less.
This sounds self-correcting. Yes, that's...
Yeah. Thankfully. But yeah, when I thought it was just 4 mana, deal 4 to the enemy hero, make a 3/4. That card's scary. That card
would be good. That'd be a good card.
That's Nightblade. That's like Nightblade that costs less, which is scary.
But I mean, if you think about it, when you are not against another aggressive deck, that's kind of what it is. How many times have you been a face hunter where you're at 30 on turn 5 because your opponent hasn't gotten the chance to counterpunch yet? So that's why I'm scared of this card, because certain decks that are very aggressive and like don't really use their life as a resource too much because they've just been getting on board and going face are gonna be okay with sacrificing some of their own health to do more damage to you. That being said, it costs 4, so it's really inefficient at that, and it's not going to help you win that board that you need to go face. So I'm hoping that makes it not good enough. But
yeah,
Face Hunter, I think, has been in a good place where it's been fighting very hard for board. And this kind of goes back to the old kind of Face Hunter that's just screw everything else, put as much stuff that does direct damage face.
The reason that I am doubtful this card will make a major dent is because of the context of this year of Standard. This card will never be in a Standard format without Lorekeeper Polkelt, and as long as Lorekeeper Polkelt exists, other 4-drops that are aggressive kind of suck, because as we've seen, usually the best way to build an aggro deck is to have Polkelt at the top of your curve. So you don't want to polk into 2 Knife Enders, you want to polk into either Skull of Gul'dan or Eaglehorn Bow and Kill Command. So being in the same standard environment as Polkelt will limit this card's ability to fit into full face decks, I think. I mean, 4 mana, 4 damage, and neutral, like, that's something. It's not nothing.
I mean, when I thought it was upgraded Nightblade, then I actually don't know that that's a card that they cannot print.
It wouldn't do 4 damage. Nightblade deals 3.
I know, and it costs 1 less and 1 less attack, but I don't think, like, Nightblade is never a card you're playing unless you're doing, like, weird Shutterwalk shenanigans, but you would play the crap out of upgraded Nightblade, right? If that's what this card was, like, this would see a ton of play, but I don't know that it would be unprintable. I don't know that you would never print a card that did something like that.
I mean, just to counterpoint your Polkelt argument a little bit. Right now we're running Polkelt in regular Face Hunter to hit Dragonbane. And like, yes, that's still very good on curve. But I think also getting to deal 4 damage to the enemy face plus hero power, like that's still pretty good. 6 instead of 7, and it's guaranteed. Whereas Dragonbane is affected by the board state.
Well, yeah, the thing is that after you Dragonbane, you get Kill Command, Eaglehorn Bow, Kill Command, Eaglehorn Bow. You don't...
Yeah, I mean, you still have those after this.
I mean, Kill Command does less than this unless you have the beast already.
Which there aren't as many beasts in Face Hunter specifically.
Well, you hold the Adorable Infestation 1-drop in your hand until you have the Kill Command. But either way, I think that if you are Polkelting and planning on falling behind on board and planning to win with Burn, the 8 damage of self-inflicted face damage you're planning on is significant there.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
So, I don't know. I can see a world where we're just looking for as many cards that say damage as possible, and really, like, if you start waggle picking this Knife Ender, then we have a problem. If you waggle pick the Knife Ender, that's so much damage.
Again, if this was a 3-drop, even,
yes,
it would be absurd.
If it cost less or didn't hit your own face, it would be a better card. We've covered that from both hosts. I agree that better versions of this card would be less worse. All right, card I'm scared of. So, who played World of Warcraft, the first Battle for Azeroth expansion? Bodicus, I know you did because we were both there.
Never played World of Warcraft.
That's
not true.
Don't do it.
I got Liadrin.
Okay.
That's it.
Doesn't count. It's only level 20. G'huun the Blood God. I'm not going to do the troll voice for a lot of reasons. I don't even think I could pull it off. But G'huun is a big, ugly slug that was the first major raid boss of Battle for Azeroth. And also it is now a priest legendary. 8 mana, 8/8. Battle Cry, draw 2 cards. They cost health instead of mana. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, danger.
Danger.
Blood Bloom for your next 2 priest cards.
Man.
Like
that you don't have to play this turn.
Nope, they just become something that you don't have to pay mana for. Remember, by the way, that card Lorekeeper Polkelt we were just talking about. You can do some stuff here. Yeah, this is a very scary text box because this means you get to play a lot of cards and not really pay for them. And instead of something like Cho'Gall or Bloodbloom, and Bloodbloom ended up being pretty good, of cards where it costs health instead of mana this turn or right now, you just get to hold the cards and then play them when you need to. And Priest is historically fairly good at restoring its own health. So, I don't know what's going to happen here. Maybe it's just Arcane Intellect and gain 10 mana. But when you say Arcane Intellect and gain 10 mana on an 8/8, that actually seems pretty good, doesn't it?
I mean, cost 10 life. 10 life is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot
is
of life.
definitely a lot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you have to also assume that the effect that you're getting is well worth 10
And if it's
life.
not, you just don't cast it. Like, you just hold the
Right.
cards.
I contemplated
spooky.
putting just priest cards that say reduce for things I'm scared of. Because
Yeah.
there are a lot of them. There's a targeted draw a minion, reduces it by 2.
Yeah, Insight, by
There's
the way,
a-
you can just get this and pay 6 for it, which seems insane.
Yeah. There's just
There's a little
There's a
Thaurissan
sticky
minion.
minion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just every time you play a spell, reduce the cost of a spell or of a card in your hand. So it can feed itself, or you can play spells to reduce non-spells.
There's also a Thaurissan for spells.
Yeah,
Yep.
discover spells, reduce the cost of all spells in your
very
hand by
cheap-
1.
A very cheap Thaurissan that replaces itself.
Fate Weaver
you
is
don't
still
get the
standard
5
legal, by the way.
Yeah, you don't get the what's it called? Well, Fate Weaver, you actually had to jump through some hoops to get Fate Weaver to turn on.
Right.
This, you just play the card, and you have to have spells in hand. And by the way, it reduces your 1 mana spells to 0 mana, which I'm not a fan of. Not
Can
a fan
I-
of giving free renews to people.
Can I express how happy I am that this can't discover itself?
You may do that, yes. Now is your opportunity.
Super
Oh.
happy you
Oh.
can't discover the reduce your hand card with
Ooh.
itself, because
Because
and-
nah, fam. Because just no.
I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, well, but face decks solve this problem because they're spending a turn like not doing anything. But at a certain point of cost reduction, you just do such broken things that it kind of doesn't matter what your opponent's doing. And cost reduction specifically, I believe, leads to some non-games in a consistent way.
Also, historically.
Curves into Cabal Acolyte, right? You
Yeah, with a
curve
0
this
mana
into
Wave of Apathy.
Wave of Apathy, yeah.
That costs 0. Yeah, and also
also can discover Wave of Apathy, and just more ways to give Priest Wave of Apathy makes me upset as a person.
And also, historically, face decks haven't been great at punishing priests. That's not typically how that's gone, because the class has a lot of life gain. Gahun the Blood God is the poster child, but yeah, there are a bunch of priest cards that seem very priesty. And also, by the way, I'm gonna make a bet. By the time that we get patch 20.0, Wave of Apathy will cost more mana than 1. It will cost more than 1. And we'll make a bet that by the time the next expansion is ready to come out, there is no way that Wave of Apathy still costs 1 mana.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Alright, but now it's time to talk about the fun cards. Bodigus, did you read the text on your card?
It's cards you want to be good but isn't, right?
But did you read
That's
what the
what
card
we're
does?
talking about?
Did you read the text? Yes.
Do you know how it works?
By the fact that you're asking me this question makes me think that I don't.
Well, I don't know yet, but I just want to make sure. So far, we're 1 for 2.
So it's when it dies, if you have another minion, it gives it the death rattle to resummon this.
Yes. Okay. Greybow.
Yep.
Let's talk about Greybow.
So, and it has taunt. So as long as you have another minion, if they don't have a removal spell, if they don't have a way to kill your other minions without getting through this, then it's just going to keep resummoning itself.
And this is the Druid Legendary. It's a 5 mana 4/6.
Yeah. So Greybow.
Bow, I think.
Yeah. Greybow.
Is it a bow or bow? I don't know.
But I don't know. It's a really cool card.
Depends where you're from.
It's one of those cards that I think looks like kind of cool and looks like it could have use cases, but I don't think actually ends up playing out the way you want it to. Because I feel like they either just don't kill this, and then you don't get to keep. It's not as sticky of a threat as you want it to be. But I wish it was. I wish it was just like. I wish you could just play decks that played other minions and played this card, and it just kind of kept coming back, and then you would play more minions, and it could keep coming back. But I've played enough Hearthstone to know that that is magical Christmas land that rarely happens, and so unfortunately I don't think this card is going to be good enough, but I think it's kind of a cool card anyway.
So I think that yes, it does not actually make your stuff sticky in the way that you want it to be against, say, a control deck, which could just wipe the board and then it has no targets. But I think against other board-based decks, it could be really obnoxious, particularly against something like a hunter or a demon hunter, things that don't have devolving missiles naturally. But particularly, I love the interaction with this and Terran Gorefiend. If you can get this out and Terran Gorefiend it, it dies, so its death rattle goes onto the Terran Gorefiend, and once Terran Gorefiend dies, you'll just have 2. And they will, as long as they never die at the same time, they'll just keep alternating so that you'll always have 1 in play, I think. Am I getting that wrong?
I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
That would be how that works, except all of the situations I can think of involves both of these dying at the same time. Against most of the matchups, I'm just seeing like against Demon Hunter, they just play the spell that kills 3 things at the same time, and then I mean Mage has devolving missiles, I guess.
Priest has priest cards.
Priest just steals this, and then it becomes really annoying for you to kill.
Yeah, you don't even want this getting soul mirrored, let alone Cabal waved.
Yeah.
Let alone Nameless Wand. Nameless Wand is a blowout, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, you want to be a go-wide deck, right? So you're going to be some kind of tokeny druid.
Yeah, but you don't want your other stuff to have taunt, which is the weird part, because if your other stuff has taunt, they just kill the other stuff first. So you want to be a go-wide deck with this the only taunt, but then they're not going to pop the other minion on the same turn. They're just going to go face once they pop this taunt. So it's not like it's a bunch of taunts in the same turn. It's a taunt that comes back on your next turn, which is kind of Lucent Barky, and that means I agree with where Bodicus ranked this card.
Makes me sad, though.
We'll try it.
Yes.
Yeah, you would think this just looks like, it reminds me, yeah, I guess you're right. It's just like, it feels like a Treant card that you just don't want in a Treant deck, because you don't want random single minions for 5 mana.
Yeah, and if you play like a 3 2/2s, and then this hops into 2/2, they're like, okay, enjoy your 2/2, I'm going to go face.
Other 2-cost minions though, Hat. I'm really confused by your pick here.
Okay.
You put Prep Raptor, Foxy Fraud, as a card you want to be good, but isn't. I'm all ears on this one. I think it's amazing.
How are we not just shadow stepping this and playing Edwin?
Okay. So every scenario I've heard where people are like, okay, it's the nut draw, all right, so you coin Foxy Fraud, then shadow step it, then Foxy Fraud, then Edwin Van Cleef. And it's like, when did Edwin need help being insane? When did we put cards in our deck specifically because Edwin Van Cleef wasn't good enough? In every other situation with this card, are you eviscerating on turn 2? No. You're just going to fire this out and eviscerate the face? Enjoy your Bloodfin Raptor. If I get a buy one thing, get this other thing free, but I don't want the first thing, I'll just pay for the second thing. Right? If I play this, and then I play Miscreant, it's just like Tenwu. It's a free Bloodfin Raptor, but I don't want a Bloodfin Raptor. I don't need a Bloodfin Raptor.
I think you're underestimating Bloodfin Raptors that you get while doing other stuff that you want to do.
In the Shard Shatter Mystic format?
We all know how much pressure Bloodfin Raptors put on everything.
I mean, it applies pressure.
Don't discount the pressure.
So if going wide early in this format was even remotely profitable, then sure, this is the format of Risky Skipper, this is the format of Shard Shatter Mystic. There are no good aggro decks right now outside of Hunter. And I don't want to play these aggressive decks against Paladin, against Demon Hunter, against Warrior, against Priest, against anything that people are doing. And I certainly don't want reduced card economy by looking for a free Bloodfin Raptor. How many Frenzied Fellwings do you see on ladder these days? Who's going out of their way for Frenzied Fellwing?
That's a harder condition, though.
But I
think that condition ended up being much more difficult than people anticipated. And I will say that the way that you generally beat the Face Hunter is by being able to fight with them on wide.
No, it's not hard to beat Face Hunter. I'm saying that the only good aggressive deck right now is Face Hunter because the format is so anti-aggro, and playing more 2-mana 3/2s is not going to fix that. I can't think of anything earlier when I get this out.
Against Face Hunter.
Well, I don't think that Rogue has a problem beating Face Hunter. Again, we beat it with Edwin and Questing and Hanar and whatever, and backstabs. I have not historically felt like Miracle Rogue is.
Cards.
Sure, it helps your good cards. I just want to play the good cards. I don't need a card that makes my good cards better. They're already good. I just play those cards. I don't need this. This is a Bloodfin Raptor. Like, it's... If you use this with Swindle, the new combo card, draw a minion, combo, and also a spell, I think that's the best case scenario.
Very good.
I think that is specifically the scenario where this is valuable. Every other combo card we play, Eviscerate, Evil Miscreant, what else? What else are we even playing?
Scimitar, SI7 Agent.
Are we playing those cards? You want to play those cards with a straight face in this format? Aggro Rogue's bad right now.
We haven't put... That's not true, but...
The numbers say it's true.
I beat Demon Hunters with Stealth Rogue. Now, maybe I'm an anomaly on
I believe that you're good in this format. I don't believe that Aggro Rogue is good in this format, and the numbers agree with me. I believe that you're good, which is why you host this podcast, and I think that you're a great addition to this podcast, but I don't think that Aggro Rogue is going to get better in this format by adding more Bloodfin Raptors when we're already dealing with Dustbreaker on turn 3.
I mean, Aggro Rogue, I don't think wants this card, as you say, because I don't run Miscreant, so it would just be like Hook Scimitar and Eviscerate. And I don't know, maybe it's not ready yet, but certainly I think the Miscreant, Edwin, and Eviscerate cases are all pretty solid.
If you want to go turn 2, 3/2 dome you for 4, then you can.
Any time that you want to be eviscerating, yeah, it's the most questionable. But any time that you've wanted to eviscerate a minion, getting to play something and eviscerate that minion is probably good if you need to be eviscerating a minion.
Sure,
because you're fighting for board.
The format just isn't really about fighting for board right now, is it? Like, the better decks don't bother with it or are so good at it that we can't keep up anyways. Paladin is just beef on beef on beef, and an eviscerate on turn 2 is barely going to be enough there, especially if they have Divine Shield.
I think you consider, like, on turn 2 as too much of it.
Okay, then we can eviscerate an Aldor Attendant, and I wonder where all my cards went. Because I played a 2-mana 3/2 and I killed a 1/3.
But, like, it doesn't... Not everything has to be about the on turn 2 play.
You just said on turn 2. I'm responding to you.
No. I was saying I think you're valuing, like, the limits of what you can do on turn 2, like, too much.
I'm just wondering when I would play this over Preparation.
It affects more cards, isn't it?
Like, I guess combo cards. Like, so that means it's if we're playing specifically minions or weapons with combo. Right? Like, so it has to be minions or weapons with combo. We have to be going for SI7 or Hook Scimitar. Right?
I mean, I think you just play, like, so you definitely play Swindle with this card.
Yeah, if you're playing this card.
Swindle,
and that can
Swindle seems like a good card, right?
I think that the combination of those two things, might be enough by itself. The combo, as it were, of...
And then you also play Wand Thief. Like, you don't get the full discount, but...
I mean, it's fine, right? Like, it's fine.
It's not the worst. And then you sometimes have the high roll Edwin turn.
I just envisioned
you're probably playing Eviscerate, but you're not, like... It's not because... You're not playing this card to combo with Eviscerate, necessarily. And I guess I see what you're saying about SI7 Agent, but, like... I don't know, an Evil Miscreant. Like, it's definitely not, like... I don't know. I see what you're saying about it not being an insane card, but it feels like, I don't know, when I looked at it, it felt like it had its place.
I want to play with it. Don't get me wrong.
Good enough. And the thing is, I feel like I enjoy it better than Prep because combo specifically requires you to play something first. And so if the thing that you're playing first reduces the combo card, I think that's pretty valuable.
So the question I have, and the reason why I put this in want to be good but isn't, because, do I want this card to be good? This card is so roguey, and it does so many rogue things, and I want to do all the rogue things. I think that it does not enable any deck that did not currently exist, and I don't think it actively enhances a strategy in a meaningful way. It feels more all-in, and it feels faster, and it feels like those early nut draws will be nuttier, but I think we won those games anyways, and so I think the games that we won don't change because of this card, and the games that we lost don't change because of this card. And that means I think that it's cool and interesting and potentially powerful, but not fundamentally important enough to include in a rogue deck most of the time. Now, I would love to be wrong because this card is so roguey, and do I want it to be good? And I tweeted about it the second I saw it, like, give me Prep Raptor. But I thought about it so many times of Prep and Step Raptor, and I looked at them together, and it's saying that the 2-mana 3/2 has inherent value, and I played a lot of Soul Demon Hunter this week, and I don't think 2-mana 3/2s have a lot of value while that deck still exists. Now, maybe Soul Demon Hunter won't end up being as much of a format-defining thing, in which case it might be worth it, but Shard Shatter Mystic is such a crazy important format-defining card.
I think it loses value if you're on coin, but it's invaluable for the games that you're not on coin. Because there's plenty of times where you're on 3 and you don't have an activator for, say, your Miscreant.
Okay, that's a compelling argument. That's compelling.
And so that's what I'm trying to say is, like, the Raptor is not the main selling point. The activator for your combo card that also lets you play it on curve is the selling point. Because
this was also my thought process. That
sometimes
I did not
those combo cards are just like dead in the water without it. So it lets you play on curve in a way that you might not otherwise be able to. Now, there is potentially we're super wrong about this scenario where it spawns an entirely new deck that's just like runs more combo cards, maybe an aggressive kind of combo rogue.
Whirly Kick Master? Do we get a Whirly Kick Master?
I don't think you go that
far. Of course we don't. That card is awful.
But you might go 1-drop into Foxy Fraud Cold Blood.
Okay. You got my attention. That's what just happened.
Are we Argent Squiring? Are we going back to Argent Squire days?
That's
pretty good against Shard Shatter. Wait, no, it's
not. Or 1-drop into Foxy
Fraud
Defias Ringleader.
Defias Ringleader.
Defias Ringleader. That's questionable.
I have questions.
I'm losing. We're losing you.
But I mean, or just bringing back SI7 Agent. Maybe you've got Brain Freeze. If you're really hard, maybe Shadow Sculptor sees play. Probably
That's
not.
That is a sweet combo, though.
But
your side hustle when you're not Edwinning somebody, and you just like Shadow Step this and get a 1-mana Shadow Slicer or whatever that.
There is also the new 1-mana 2/1
Prize Plunderer.
Yeah, combo for deal 1 damage to a minion for each other card you played this turn. So if you go like 1-drop into Prep Raptor into that, and you hit something for 2, there's something there maybe.
And I think that like the aggressive options are pretty good. Like being able to on the play go turn 3 Miscreant or turn 3 Scimitar is great. Going Foxy Fraud Wand Thief is pretty decent.
Okay. Coerce might also convince me. Coerce is pretty juicy.
Coerce gets pretty sweet with it.
Okay. I'm
that's
compelled.
A card that's been on the edge.
I'm compelled by the argument of going first. This is a good coin addition. That argument is inherently compelling to me. I'm compelled. I hope this card is good, so I want to play it. Yeah. But we're probably not headcracking. Probably not ringleading.
No.
Probably not kidnapping. Probably not Necrium Apothecary. Shifty Sophomore? Probably not Shifty Sophomore.
Remember when that card was broken?
I do, yes. That was a bad week.
That was the time.
All right.
But I think a number of these cards you would just play anyway, like Prize Plunderer, Edwin, Ivis, Evil Miscreant, Wand Thief. And then situationally, like depending on the meta, you can add SI7 and Hook Scimitar to that list.
All right. I'm prepared to upgrade my assessment to not sure about. But tell us about the card that you want to be good at is, and then you broke my heart with this one. You broke my heart.
Yeah, I know. I broke my own heart. I said ETC, God of Metal, who I'm sure is going to have an amazing voice line and play effect.
What does that card do?
So it's a 2-mana 1/4, which is the Armorsmith stat line. That says whenever you attack with a rush minion, deal 2 damage to the enemy face. It is an axe flinger for rush minions. Axe flinger was whenever it took damage, it dealt 2 damage to the enemy face. So it has been said that there is a combo with this where you could go ETC, Inner Rage, Bloodsworn Mercenary, Animated Broomstick, and you can get quite a bit of damage because they all have rush, and that counts because
It
of the
does count.
broomstick.
Also,
That's pretty cool.
if a minion has rush and isn't rushing that turn, it still does the damage. A rush minion is a minion that has rush on the card or is given rush. Doesn't have to be specifically rushing that turn.
Right. So all of those things. But that is a combo that requires your opponent to have a board you can attack into.
R.I.P. Leroy. We miss you.
And I'm not sure that outside of that combo, there's enough rush minions that you're just playing for this to be good. I mean, rush can be face in the sense that it removes things on board so that you can keep going face. But I don't think that this it's just not enough. We're already not running Restless Mummy, one of the best rush cards. I just don't see a world where this is good enough.
I wish I could play this in Hunter, because then I could play it with Swarm of Locusts.
Oh, now a rogue is probably going to make that happen. I'm sure there will be a rogue that somehow gets this.
Yeah, but rogue doesn't have like a lot of cheap rush minions, right?
Yeah, I want to play this in Demon Hunter.
I'm saying
with...
a rogue will burgle both of them.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, that's probably true. I want to play this in Demon Hunter with expendable performers.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Just die.
They die, and then you get more, and then they die too.
That's disgusting.
But it's not going to happen.
This is going to be some highlight reels where a rogue goes Dragon's Horde into ETC and then somehow burgles one of those crazy rush spells, either Command the Illidari or the Swarm of Locusts from Hunter or the Barrage of Expendables, and they'll just, murder someone in one turn. But I don't think that as a warrior card, it's going to see much play in warrior. So that brings us to our final cards, which Hat has the flashiest one. I think the only legendary of the picks here.
Okay.
I actually legitimately don't know which way he's going to go with this, so I'm interested to hear.
Underrated or overrated?
So it's our underrated or overrated. We're going to try and go a little quickly, but card review episodes tend to go long. Lothraxion, 5-mana 5/5 Paladin Legendary Battlecry for the rest of the game. Your Silverhand recruits, when you summon them, they get Divine Shield. Because it does not hit minions you currently have in play, I think it is not a good card. I think it is a 5-mana 5/5. We would not pay for a 5-mana 5/5. It does not hit the Silverhand recruits you have in play, so you have to assume you're going to summon a bunch of 1/1s after this. And I would be surprised if that was the direction Paladin was going. Could be wrong, but I think that it's not really worth the upfront cost.
Wait, it's
a 5-mana 5/5 after you summon, for the rest of the game, after you summon a Silverhand recruit, give it Divine Shield. So it doesn't hit what you have in play, so you can't play this and then make better trades. You have to play this and then do a bunch of stuff after.
I feel like there's a lot of games that go later with Paladin. Feels like you can make you could turn your if there is a Silverhand recruit deck, if there is a deck that plays a significant amount of Silverhand recruits, then this is a very powerful effect that you want going later into the game. It makes your board really sticky. Like we've played with, you play with the shield. What is it? Shield Maid? Back to your homes. That gives
Back to your homes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the card's name.
Makes it really annoying to remove those Silverhand recruits, and like Paladin can go late game like as a mid range deck. Like this is an ultimate like mid range tool, right?
Steward of Darkshire. But also, Steward of Darkshire said whenever you summon a 1 health minion. It was not just Silverhand recruits.
I mean, yeah, but how often in the Steward of Darkshire deck was it not a Silverhand recruit? Not that often.
I mean, not that often, but like it came up. I don't know. You could play this card and you could get away with it.
But that required the Steward of Darkshire to be in play. This is just every time you hero power for the rest of the game, you're going to get a 1/1 with Divine Shield. And then if you have just a couple incidental cards that make Silverhand recruits, then if you just have 4 cards in your deck that make Silverhand recruits, it ups the power level on them pretty significantly.
It makes Air Raid a lot better. Specifically, the interaction with Air Raid is a lot better. But I have played a lot of Libram Paladin. I don't hero power that much late game with that deck. It's so mana hungry all game. You can squeeze in a 1/1 Divine Shield, but I feel like there's probably better stuff that we can do. And oddly enough, if you're brooming, you want your stuff to die. You don't want it to have Divine Shield. It gets kind of weird. So if we're Libram of Wisdoming, you don't want to stick the Librams of Wisdom on that. You want to buff, trade, die, get the Librams back. Buff, trade, die, get the Librams back. If they have Divine Shield, you can't do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of... I think I'm on both sides of this. I think that it's not... That it looks like an auto-include to some people, and it's not going to be. But I think it will have a place.
You can make it good. I'm not saying that you can't make it good.
This feels like more of a Blessing of Authority deck than a Libram deck.
It might be.
I think you put it in the Blessing of Authority deck and not in the Penflinger deck.
I agree, which is why I'm calling it overrated, not bad. I do not think it's a bad card. I think it's specific, but people, from what I've seen, the impression, and maybe I'm misreading this because everyone has only had like 1 second to evaluate the set, but I think the overall impressions are that people think it's going to have a wider application than it will. Because I think it'll have a very specific application, and it might even be good in that application, but most Paladin decks probably shouldn't run this, and if you are running this, you need to build around it in a really specific way, and that's why I think it's narrow. And Air Raid is also rotating out in April.
Odd Paladin got some tools.
In Wild, Odd Paladin is way too fast for this deck. Or for this card. Way too fast.
No, but there's a different one that gives +1/+2.
Oh, the Carnival Barker?
Yeah, to any 1 health minions you summon.
I do like that one.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, but this in...
I mean, you also probably get to play Day at the Fair.
Yeah, in
you
Standard.
Probably would play that in Silver. Well, no, in Wild, you probably want to recruit 3 to 5 more Silverhand recruits.
That deck already fills the board pretty fast because Tour Guide is so completely bonkers insane in Odd Paladin. Tour Guide is so ridiculous.
You might not have room for it.
Yep. No, the card that you add to Wild Odd Paladin, by the way, is Oh My Yogg. That is the card you put in Wild Odd Paladin because it's a 1-mana counterspell.
It's a counterspell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lothraxion might be one of those cards where it's an archetype that they're going to be pushing more down the line, but just doesn't have the place yet. But we'll just have to see. Bot, you put a card that definitely has been on my radar, and I haven't known how to feel about it.
I'm gonna be honest. I put this card on here not because I have any opinions on it, except that I love this card because it's another banana card. I just love all of the banana ever since the Mukla day. So Banana Vendor, 3 mana, 2/4, add 2 bananas to each player's hand. You're like that's so many bananas. Like the card's probably not good because then they get to use the bananas right away. But I mean, who doesn't love bananas?
I don't know if this is the right soundbite, but I'm gonna press the button.
I can wait no longer.
That was not the right soundbite. That was the wrong.
That was Karen, right? That was
Grom Hellscream. It's not Karen. But I like where your head is at. Neither of us were right about anything. We're gonna edit this whole thing out.
We should.
We're just gonna cut all of it.
Someone in chat mentioned chocolate bananas.
I'm so hungry.
Guatemalan delicious treat. Yes.
So good.
Okay, we're losing focus. Gotta focus. We gotta focus up.
Anyway, yeah. So banana vendor, it's a sweet card because it gives everybody bananas, and that's cool.
So you think it's underrated because bananas, pretty much?
Yeah, exactly. People are sleeping on not getting bananas.
I buy that.
Yeah.
For a brief moment, I considered, oh hey, battle cry shaman, you fill your opponent's hand with bananas, and I was like, wait, it'll fill my hand too. So.
Yeah, and then they'll also just kill you with the bananas because
they made a half cold light. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes,
2 mana, each player draws a card.
It's a double buffoon and a half cold light. It's a strange world that we're in here.
It's very strange.
All right, one last card. Edelweiss, tell us about your dancing cobra.
So I feel like this is one that's kind of, again, both a little underrated, a little overrated. I think people are underrating the value of just like a 1/5 beast for you to do things to in Hunter. 1/5 is a sturdy stat line, and I think there could be an aggressive style of Hunter that we have not been able to see yet because it has not had sturdy beasts for the early game to be able to use stuff like the twin spell gives +2/+2, or just Houndmaster. I think there's a decent amount of stuff that Hunter can do with sticking beasts early, and it just has not gone that direction because there have not been good beasts to stick early. You haven't had a dire mole type minion. And there was a mech that was played sometimes at 1/5 because it was a sturdy thing to magnetize to. And so I'm kind of hopeful that Hunter will be able to do a similar thing with this minion. I think they're kind of overrating the poisonous because I'm not sure how often you'll like corrupt and then play this. It could happen. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, being able, I really like having access to this minion, and I think there could be Hunter deck that exists around manipulating the stats of your minions. And this is a pretty good recipient for that because of the slant towards the health.
We've seen the low cost 1/5 stat line be a problem multiple times so far. So I tend to agree with you that this card, you always got to watch out for that stat line because cheap minions with lots of toughness that stick around can be very problematic. So I think this was a good choice for you for this card. And I also just looked at the because I wanted to see the animal companion card for Hunter that they gave him. Trampling Rhino, not gonna do it. Trampling Rhino is no Twilight Runner. So Guardian Animals. Did I say Guardian Animals? I was waiting for the Guardian Animals.
You said Animal Companion. Yeah.
The Guardian Animals card for Hunter, it's not gonna get him there. Not gonna do it.
No, it's not.
Already has Rush.
It does. I do think 2 mana 1/5. We've seen. Well, it's really just Hanar, right? Because Miscreant was technically a 3 mana 1/5, which is still insane. Hanar just didn't die, and still is really annoying when it sticks. But this doesn't generate value like Hanar. This could be annoying, or it could be upgradable. Framebot. It's probably a little better, but I don't know if it's a lot better. I don't know. I see where your head's at, and I thought the same thing looking at the card, but it doesn't have taunt, and it's annoying because it can trade with 2 things, I guess. But again, this format's not really as much about trading with things that don't have Divine Shields as much as I remember it being. Like maybe you hit a Wand Maker and a Mana Feeder Panthara with it or something. Fine. I don't know.
You don't. I'm not thinking of it necessarily in terms of trading, but just as they don't want to put the damage into it, and so if they don't put the damage into it, that lets you have a target for things like Houndmaster.
So you're dreaming big here.
Or Fresh Scent.
Yeah. Okay.
Fresh scenting this.
Fresh scenting this
into fresh scent is a pretty powerful opening.
Because then it's just a 3/7.
And you're never killing a 3/7 on turn 2.
If we're fresh scenting, ooh, this set is enabling all sorts of spice. So I'm getting dizzy. We're gonna have to lay down here, so we're gonna wind down the show. We have many folks to like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website, coinconcede.com. You can find our contact info, show notes, and Patreon information. Support our show at patreon.com/coinconcede. Join us every week live. Follow us on Twitch at twitch.coinconcede.com. Join our community chats in our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Go into our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at coinconcede. Like, share, and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/coinconcede. Like some CC swag, head over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. Big thanks to our producers, number 3, Itinerant Wizard, Tony, S. Doshi, K. Car, Hoopug, Ugly, Proby1. This is the first time in a while we've gone 2.5 hours. New set Palooza. Who's got coin conceits? Who's ready? Also, Incrediplum, thank you so much for subscribing during the show. Go ahead, Podcast.
I can go. So, quick coin concede to my mother. So I don't know how much I've talked about it on the show, but my mom generally does a lot of very long distance cycling, and she's very accomplished, has done a lot of it. But unfortunately, every once in a while, when you do enough cycling, you're going to get into an accident. And unfortunately, she got into a bit of an accident. I guess she broke her clavicle and is now going to have to go through some surgery. So hopefully she's recovering well. And yeah, just wanted to shout her out, even though she doesn't listen to the show. But, you know, my heart's out to her, and hope she makes a speedy recovery, because she's a pretty tough lady. She takes a fall and then calculates the shortest amount of time before she can get back on the bike. So we'll see.
Yeah, shoutouts to Momicus. Hope she's okay. Gee, clavicle. What is a clavicle?
I think it's like the neck, right? It's like the bone up here in the neck. It's if it is up there, okay. It's the second time.
It's a collarbone. It's the collarbone.
Yeah. This will be the second time then, because she's definitely fallen. I would assume that's a fairly common biking injury if you're falling, because you know she wears a helmet all the time, and less likely to hurt that. But there's not a whole lot of shoulder guard protection going on in road riding. So, but speedy recovery. She sounds like she's in good spirits. So,
well, hope she recovers quickly. Advice.
Yeah, I'm honestly just gonna coin concede to everyone who went out and voted. I don't care what side. This was the most votes that either any candidates in history. So just seeing that amount of participation in the system makes me really optimistic, because it made me sad whenever people were like, I don't like either of them, and you're just gonna not vote. But I think it's good that people are exercising that right, and yeah. So thank you everyone for participating in our democratic system.
Yeah. Hey, voting. I'm going to give a coin concede here. Well, of course, we got to thank our anonymous benefactor, as we did at the top of the show, because they're awesome. Big thanks to Celestalon for popping up here right as I went into my spiel that started with, "We think the developers are great, but..." That wasn't unnerving at all. I definitely did not pee myself. It's no big deal. But also for just being a champ and taking all this feedback, when our job as content creators, to quote Day 9, is our job is just let crap fall out of our mouths. Really appreciate the developers' commitment to engaging with the community. And it's nighttime in Pacific, and their job is not to come to a Twitch stream and listen to us talk about their game, but appreciate that a lot. The flavor text writers this set, boy, did they pull out all the stops. The what is it? The out of the cage. Where is this? I'm gonna find this card. This specifically card. Open the cages. And the flavor text is coming out of my cage and I'm dead by turn 9. And the Mr. Brightside reference there, I saw that and I immediately stopped what I was doing and screenshotted and tweeted, "Who did this?" Because I want to know. I have not gotten an answer yet, But whoever did that, you're my favorite person. Also, flavor text on Banana Buffoon, or the new Banana Buffoon, Banana Vendor, is there's always money in the banana stand. And if you were listening to this show and you think that's funny, then you should also know that we like you. And Edelweiss is cracking up because she has watched Arrested Development. Yeah, what a great show. Also, Warcraft Radio, they just launched after a 10-year hiatus, and we're part of their network. So if you are listening to this on Warcraft Radio, what's up? How's it going? We're going to be on that network as well as our own. So you can hear us over there, and it's going to be nice to be part of this large community of Blizzard podcasts. And that's our show. So keep calm and say Purple Pocket Galaxy 5 times fast. And if you see us on the ladder, Purple Pocket Galaxy, Purple Pocket Galaxy, Coin Concede.
Coin Concede.
Foxy Concede.
You're a fraud. All right. Stopping recording, stopping streaming. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I'll see y'all later.